Hello there, everybody. I am First Alert Meteorologist Rodney Harris. This is extended severe weather coverage on Atlanta News First Plus. If you're in Atlanta, we're not seeing anything right now. That's coming a little bit later, but we wanted to keep you up to date as these storms are now officially in Georgia. And you can see clearly this nasty line of storms northwest of us. It's going to gradually make its way southeast through metro Atlanta this afternoon more than anything else. I'm going to walk you through exactly what you can expect and do some radar analysis and keep you up to date here before the storm even moves in. I want to remind everybody, if you don't have our app, make sure and download the First Alert Weather app. If any warning is issued anywhere in North Georgia, you'll get that audio alert immediately. I just updated a video giving you more detail on what's happening, and we'll be doing that throughout the entire afternoon. So make sure and get that app downloaded so you can stay safe as this activity moves in. So here's First Alert Radar. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. We don't have any severe storms right now, which is certainly good news. First Alert meteorologist Ella Dorsey mentioned this earlier. Really good indicator of what's to come is lightning. And one of the things that I'm noticing is as you go north of I-20, especially like from Rome to Calhoun to Blue Ridge, there's lightning there for sure, but there's not as much as what you see from Birmingham southward. And we collectively agree that there's going to be more instability as you go further south, so you'll likely have a higher risk of severe weather overall south of Atlanta. Everybody has a risk, but south of Atlanta, where there's definitely going to be more instability later on this afternoon. So that lightning is something we're going to be watching very carefully. But right now, no severe thunderstorms whatsoever. I do want to take you to this severe thunderstorm watch because this was actually issued at like 6 o'clock this morning to cover the storms as they initially moved into northwest Georgia. Initially, they only included like 2 or 3 counties. That was recently extended. So everybody in yellow is under that warning. This is to capture that line that's moving in right now. So everybody from Ellijay down to Canton, down to Dallas over in Paulding County, to Carrollton and north of there, you are under a severe thunderstorm watch until 1 o'clock. Metro Atlanta, most of Metro Atlanta is not under this watch, but I do believe as these storms get closer, that watch will certainly be expanded eastward. But the reason why is just for northwest Georgia at this point is because that's where the storms are. So they're kind of capturing the storms as they move in. But even though we have the watch, again, we don't actually have any warnings, but that watch means that that warning could happen at any moment. So that's why that's there. So just stay weather ready if you're in northwest or west Georgia as those storms are starting to move in. So let's do a little analysis for you here. I'm going to start up there in Chattooga County. If you are in Chattooga County, this is the worst of the storms, by the way. So this leading edge that's moving through, this is the severest part of the storms that we'll see. We're going to continue to see rain throughout the course of the afternoon and evening, but the leading edge is really what we're watching that's going to be the strongest. So Chattooga County, that leading edge is already over you as we speak, Summerville. So the rain will continue for you in Summerville, at least heavy rain for like 5 more minutes, and then the severe weather threat will sort of end for you in Chattooga County. The rain will continue, but that severe weather threat will be over. If you're in Floyd County, Rome, you're about to get rocked here. You can see even some purple popping up on First Alert radar. So right now, if you're in Rome, it's really just heavy rain. Can't rule out even some small hail there. In fact, let's do this. Let's stop this and get a little hail tracker on to see. This time of year, whenever you see those purples on First Alert radar, they could indicate heavy rain or hail. Hail produces a really high number on our reflectivity, which is what measures the rain. So sometimes that heavy rain is hail. So we have a tool that will allow us to see, and we are not seeing any hail at the moment. So that really is just heavy rain right now in Floyd County. So if you are in Rome, again, you're good now. But that activity is moving south and east. So it is 10:48. By 11 o'clock, you'll have some very heavy rain in Rome. Not a ton of lightning in Floyd County, but definitely some heavy rain there. Let's go further south. If you were in Polk County, you got a little bit more time. In fact, Polk County, Haralson County, Carroll County, you have at least an hour before those storms move in. But here's the thing. For Haralson County, Polk County, Carroll County, 11:30, 12 at the earliest, you do have more lightning. So the activity that's moving into Floyd doesn't really have a lot of lightning with it. But as I mentioned before, getting close to I-20, there's definitely more lightning there. So you're going to hear this in Carrollton, in Tallapoosa, Cedartown. You're going to hear it when it moves in. At this point, very heavy rain and lightning, not severe, but again, a severe storm could happen at any point. I'm going to come back to the radar analysis, but I do want to get to the timeline because I know that impacts all of you, and that's probably your number one question. So in terms of the timing, it's obviously already in northwest Georgia. If you are in metro Atlanta, the strongest storms are moving in between noon and 1 p.m. That's the strongest storms. I'm going to say that a lot because it's going to kind of rain off and on all day. The strongest storms moving in between noon and 1 p.m. starting in like Cobb County, Cherokee County, Bartow County, you're first. and that activity will slowly slide into Atlanta. The city of Atlanta, by 1 o'clock, you'll have showers and storms right over you. 2 o'clock, showers and storms right over Metro Atlanta. 3 o'clock, it's starting to move east to Metro Atlanta. So you're picking up the kids from school today. If you're waiting, like in the carpool line, you're definitely going to be impacted by the storms, meaning if you're out there before 3, which a lot of you parents will be, those storms will still be here. After 3 is when that activity will start to move east. So definitely stay weather ready, download our app, be watching Atlanta News First and Atlanta News First Plus before you go pick up the kiddos to know exactly where those storms are. Again, they're moving out at 3. But if you're waiting in that carpool line, you're likely going to be impacted. By 4, the strongest storms are definitely out of Metro Atlanta. So we believe the biggest risk for severe weather for Metro Atlanta specifically will be between noon and 4 p.m. By Metro Atlanta, I mean the city of Atlanta, Fulton County, DeKalb County, Cobb, Cherokee, Gwinnett County, Henry County, Fayette County. For those of you in Clayton County, Douglas County, you will see your highest severe weather risk between noon and 4 p.m. And I want to continue to run this model because after 4 p.m., notice we still have these little showers that are popping up, maybe even some storms in there too. This is the cold front that's actually moving through tonight. So this is important. After the main line, which again will move out by 4, we will still have these little tiny showers and storms throughout your evening. So if you're going to be driving home from work, you're headed out to dinner, don't be surprised if you continue to see a spotty shower or a spotty storm. Even though the main event is from noon until 4, some of that smaller activity will certainly continue. So that's a look at your timing. Here's that severe thunderstorm watch again. That's in effect until 1 o'clock. So something to note about the severe thunderstorm watch, as I mentioned earlier, this is a part of a watch that was issued earlier this morning, really to just address northwest Georgia, and they extended that recently. We do believe there will be a completely different watch issued for the Atlanta area at some point later on today. The National Weather Service actually said there was a 95% chance that a new watch would be issued. We don't know what kind of watch that will be. We believe it'll be a severe thunderstorm watch, but that will happen for Atlanta. So if you're in Atlanta, you're not under an alert right now, but we do believe that will happen for you before those storms actually move in. So be mindful of that in Atlanta. We'll let you know that right away. So that's the severe thunderstorm watch again. Even though we have the watch out right now, we are not seeing any actual severe thunderstorms. Speaking of that, let's get back to First Alert Radar. As these storms are moving through, we'll track them for you in real time, let you know what's going on in your neighborhood. At the same time, I'm on the chat with the National Weather Service to get any new information. And it's very good. It's a very good sign that we're not seeing any severe storms right now with this line that's moving in. But something that's important to note, really all year, all of our storms have been moving in overnight. And in that pattern, the storms are normally weakening as they come out of Alabama and into Georgia because there's really not a lot of heating. Today is different. The storms are moving in as the temperatures are warming up. So again, you can see all that lightning down there in Birmingham. We do think that today will be one of those days where the storms will actually strengthen as they move into the state, especially south of Atlanta. So that's certainly going to be a concern later on this afternoon, even though we don't have warnings now. Once we get a little bit more daytime heating this afternoon, that chance will certainly increase, and especially for like middle Georgia as you get closer to Macon. But right now, there's no new information from the National Weather Service, which is really good. And I think it's great that there are no actual warnings at this point, which is a good sign. So here we go with the analysis. If you are in Murray and Whitfield counties, there's some lightning happening there for you. Also, some very heavy rain. I'm going to stop First Alert Radar. I want to keep doing a hail tracker. So again, there's a lot of energy today. It's not hot, but there is enough heat to produce these storms. In this type of environment, it's not impossible to also see some hail. So I'm going to keep checking for hail as well. And those pinks that you see, those purples, it could be very heavy rain or hail. So First Alert Radar lets us be able to track that for you. You can see actually how there was actually hail with this activity back in Alabama, but there's none right now in northwest Georgia. So that's just heavy rain that's falling for you. And right now, right over Whitfield and Murray County. So that's some very heavy rain right over Ringgold, and that's moving toward the east. So if you are in Dalton, that rain will eventually head your way. We've got about 30 minutes in Dalton, maybe less than that, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And that rain's really going to pick up for you. Swinging you back toward the south, Chattooga County, again, Summerville, the worst is now over for you, believe it or not. So just about everybody else, your severe threat will continue, if not increase this afternoon. Summerville, you're done with the stronger storms. You'll continue to see rain throughout the rest of the day, but that line moved past you very quickly. Floyd County, Rome, you're dry. It's right on your doorstep if you're in Rome. It's 10:55 right now. By like 11:10, you'll have heavy rain over your area. I count 3 lightning strikes there in Floyd County. So I'm not seeing a ton of lightning, but you'll hear some thunder. You probably already are if you're in Floyd County. So dry now, but if you're in Rome, heads up, those storms are moving your way. Also want to point out, this is not a part of the line, but this has actually been happening all morning long. If you're in the mountains, Ellijay, Blue Ridge, Hiawassee, Blairsville, we're seeing some spotty showers out there. Again, this is not a part of that main line. These are not storms, but we do have spotty showers out there in the mountains. And that's going to continue for you as well for the rest of the day. So I don't want to leave you out. Again, those are not storms, but showers. Let's take it a little bit further south. One of the things we also have to mention, I'm talking about this main line that's moving in to Metro Atlanta as early as lunch. Before the main line moves in, you may see some occasional showers even in Metro Atlanta. We're starting to see that happen now. So if you were in Rockdale County, if you were in Newton County, there's a little shower there. Not a storm, but that's let's track that for you. That's moving toward the actually northeast, so it's moving into the Monroe area. Also, if you were down in Morgan County, there's a shower that's in Newton County right now. That's moving northeast. It's going to hit you in Morgan County. These are tiny little showers. They're not going to have any impacts on your plans. So if you have any errands to run or anything like that in Metro Atlanta, you're fine. You can do that up until lunch. But don't be surprised if you see some of these showers starting to swing through. These storms are really nasty back in Alabama. So this is just east of Birmingham. This is probably what I'm most concerned about, truth be told. Again, Polk County, Haralson County, and Carroll County. You have some time before these storms move your way, but there's a lot of lightning that's headed your way. So let's do a lightning counter just to give you an idea of exactly how many lightning strikes we're seeing. That's 245. That's within this view. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just to focus specifically on the storms that are going to impact you in Carrollton. So about 150 lightning strikes headed your way in Haralson County, in Carroll County, Polk County, and even Heard County. So this is definitely a stronger part of the line. Again, it's not severe, but you will get some very heavy rain. You will also see some lightning, as I just mentioned. Turn the lightning back on there. But not severe at the moment, which is certainly good news. What I have seen this morning, and these stronger storms that are not severe, they have been producing wind gusts up to like 40 miles per hour. So for perspective, a severe thunderstorm, when it comes to wind, is when the wind is up to 58 miles per hour. That is considered a severe storm because now the wind is strong enough to bring down some smaller trees. So 40 miles per hour, that's a pretty good wind, but it's not quite severe. So even though these storms are not severe, they don't have any warnings on them, they are certainly producing wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour. So you'll feel that as those storms are moving through. Taking you further south, if you are in Heard County and Troup County in the LaGrange area, even further north there, Franklin, you have some time. You have at least an hour before those storms move in. But as I mentioned before, you're the people I'm most concerned about because as you go further south, we're definitely seeing some instability. As we do this in real time, I'm definitely starting to see more of these little showers pop up. So again, if you're in Atlanta, main event as early as noon. Storms moving into Metro Atlanta between noon and 1, but these little tiny showers are starting to pop up, so don't let that catch you off guard. Let's do this. I'm going to go to your 7-day forecast just to give you an idea of what to expect through the rest of the week, and then we'll cycle back through what's happening on First Alert Radar. As a reminder, if you're in Atlanta, you're good to go now. You can run your errands. You'll be fine for Metro Atlanta between noon and 1 p.m., or when these showers and storms are moving in. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez is right behind me. She is working on an updated forecast for you on Atlanta News First at noon, and of course, if a warning is issued, particularly a tornado warning, we're going to go on the air right away. But just know we're working as we speak around the clock to make sure you have the most updated information. So a 72 today with those showers and storms out there. Today's our First Alert Weather Day. So this morning we were in the 60s as you went to work. Tomorrow morning we're going to be in the 40s after this front passes by. So one of the last little gaps of cooler air, but definitely prepare for that tomorrow. You might need a light jacket as you get out the door with temperatures in the upper 40s. And then it's up to 77 and mostly sunny for Tuesday afternoon. So Tuesday will turn out to be a really nice day after we get past these storms today. Wednesday and Thursday, we're back into the 80s, 84 on Wednesday, Thursday, 87. I do want to point out we have a 20% chance of rain both Wednesday and Thursday. That does not include Metro Atlanta. That chance of rain is really more for the northeast Georgia mountains. If you're in Metro Atlanta, you will almost certainly stay dry Wednesday and Thursday. But that 20, we had to put on the 7-day forecast to address those of you in the mountains where a shower or storm will be possible in the afternoon. Friday is going to be a fantastic day. Friday is the Braves home opener that you can watch on Peachtree TV. First pitch at 7:15. Excuse me. It'll be hot on Friday. I mentioned 48 Tuesday morning. By Friday, we're up to 89 degrees in Atlanta, pushing 90 degrees already. It's like, spring, summer just happened that fast. So it'll be hot. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be out there at the Battery at Truist Park. But otherwise, a fantastic day on Friday. Saturday, 88 and mostly sunny. Saturday's definitely the better day of the weekend because we have another first alert weather day for Sunday for scattered showers and storms that'll be out there. Too soon to get too detailed about Sunday, but circle Sunday on your calendar because you're likely to get wet with that first alert. So again, Saturday is definitely your better day if you're planning your weekend. Let's get you back to first alert radar, and I'm going to hop on to our chat with the National Weather Service just to see if there's any new information to provide. The only real information that we've had over the past few hours, just because we're in kind of wait mode, it's not really impacting us yet. But again, they expanded the severe thunderstorm watch to go a little bit further south and east as this line is moving in. So that's the new piece of information we've had over the past several hours. And this is something new. They have issued a special weather statement. And I've already mentioned this, but what the National Weather Service is doing, instead of issuing severe thunderstorm warnings, they're issuing what we call special weather statements, just to let you know that a strong storm may be coming, but not quite at severe levels. They are saying, the National Weather Service, up to 40-mile-per-hour wind, which is what I mentioned, cloud-to-ground lightning, so be careful, and very heavy rain. So that's a good sign. The fact that they're issuing special weather statements instead of severe thunderstorm warnings means that this stuff is behaving for the most part. But again, don't let your guard down. We do believe that this stuff is going to increase in intensity, especially south of I-20 as we go throughout the course of the afternoon. So even though we're not seeing that severe weather now, that threat is definitely still there. But at this point, heavy rain, lightning, and again, a 40-mile-per-hour wind. That's what you can expect as these storms are moving through. So that is a look at that. Also remember about the lightning. If you're going to be out and about, and obviously if it's raining outside, we don't encourage you to be out. But lightning, especially south of I-20, will be a thing. So if you have any plans to be outdoors as this stuff is moving in, definitely get indoors because lightning, even though it doesn't count when we're talking about severe weather, it's definitely obviously just as dangerous. Okay, let's go back up to the mountains. Again, we don't have any severe weather, but in the mountains, that's where these storms are currently headed. If you're watching in Metro Atlanta, again, our timing in Metro Atlanta is noon until 4 o'clock. That's when we will see our highest risk of severe storms, and the strongest storms, however strong they are, they'll be between noon and 4 p.m. So if you are in Dade, Walker counties, the worst is over for you. Now the heaviest rain is really moving into Dalton. So if you're in Dalton, that rain is on your doorstep. Within 5 minutes, it's really going to pick up, and you have some lightning as well. One thing I want to point out, though, notice how thin that red is. So this is some heavy rain, but when it's thin like that, that means that it's going to happen fairly quickly. So it's not going to rain heavy, or you won't see the heavy rain for a long time, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops of very heavy rain, and then the rain will start to lighten up. So that's also a good sign. Everybody's going to see that heavy rain as the line moves in, but it's a thin line, so the heavier rain will be pretty fast moving, which is good. Dalton, that's headed your way, though. Watch out there. Gordon County. So Gordon County, you have been dry, but the storms are on your doorstep. Not only will you see heavy rain, but also some lightning. If you're in Calhoun this morning, it is 11:03 by 11:23, about 20 minutes. 15, 20 minutes. That rain is really going to pick up for you. You'll see lightning, so heads up in Gordon County. I've been talking about Floyd County and Rome. Rome, you're basically about to get it right now. Less than 5 minutes. Heavy rain, lightning headed your way. We're actually getting pretty close to Metro Atlanta here. I said Metro Atlanta, what, Jen? Noon? It's 11:03 right now. We got 58 minutes. So Bartow County, it's not that far away from you. I'm just trying to determine if we need to speed this time up for Metro. We've got about 54 minutes until noon, so we're right about on schedule, maybe a little bit faster. But if you're in Bartow County at Daresville, that rain and the storms are moving your way within like 30 minutes by 11:30. So Bartow County heads up specifically in Daresville. Cartersville, it'll take a little bit longer for you. And then back to Polk County. You're still good in Polk County. Northwest Polk County, the rain is starting to move your way. And further north in the Floyd County, Cave Spring, that rain is headed your way. Cedartown, it is 11:04. You have about 10, 15 minutes. And in Cedartown, that rain's going to pick up for you as well. I do have the lightning turned on. I'm not seeing a lot of lightning moving into Polk County, but definitely some heavy rain. And again, going further south, you got some time, so I'll just let you know once those storms get closer to you. Again, further south, Haralson County, Carroll County, Heard County. Those storms are definitely stronger. It's just going to take more time for them to get there. And in Metro Atlanta, you're in good shape, save for a few showers. Nothing major is happening for you. Let's see here. I'm on the chat. We're good on the chat. Nothing really happening there. Let's check out these temperatures. The temperatures will play a role today in the severe weather. So the way that this works is the warmer the air, the more instability, the more energy you have for thunderstorms. So, as I mentioned before, a lot of our events have been happening overnight. So we've had a lot of wind, but we hadn't had a lot of instability. We will have that today. Right now we're at 60. Actually, we're at 68 degrees in Atlanta. We're going for the low 70s. We're actually in the 60s everywhere. But these temperatures, we're going to be watching the temperatures too, because as those temperatures rise, especially south of Atlanta, that will aid in the potential for severe weather. The upper 60s actually are not that bad at all right now. But again, getting into the low 70s, and maybe even warmer than that as you get closer to middle Georgia, like Thomaston, getting closer to Macon, you're definitely going to have a higher risk of seeing those stronger storms as you head further south. So right now the temperatures still are in check. Check out this severe thunderstorm watch. Make sure they haven't made any changes to that. Again, it's not for Atlanta. But we do anticipate Atlanta will eventually come under that severe thunderstorm watch at some point before noon, I would imagine, because those storms are moving pretty quickly. But again, I'm literally watching the National Weather Service as we speak, and there's no indication that they're going to issue that watch anytime soon. But they did say there was a 95% chance a new watch would be issued, so that's going to come at some point. So don't be caught off guard by that in Atlanta once that watch is finally there. I'm looking at radar while I'm showing you this severe thunderstorm watch just to make sure we don't have any warnings out there that are issued. Again, while the activity is not severe now, it could happen at any moment. A severe thunderstorm could happen at any moment, which is why we're on, by the way, on Atlanta News First Plus, so we can let you know right away. The way this works is for severe thunderstorm warnings, we'll stay on Atlanta News First Plus. Tornado warnings will be here and on Atlanta News First, so we go on everywhere. The tornado risk is not zero, but it's lower than the wind risk today. We do think that the highest overall threat will be for damaging winds, which unfortunately is becoming quite common here in North Georgia, and then a lower but not impossible risk for tornadoes. So that's actually something pretty good to go over. If you are in anywhere in North Georgia, I have a graphic for that, so we can get to that graphic actually and show you. But everybody will see rain today, and there's the graphic. Unfortunately, you'll see some lightning. So again, if you're going to be outdoors, that will be a threat. It's not technically a severe storm. Lightning doesn't have anything to do with that. So we've been mentioning the potential for severe weather, but I also want to stress that lightning will be a part of that. So if you're going to be out and about this afternoon, you'll have to get indoors as those storms are rolling in. Wind will be the biggest threat. That's all of North Georgia. And because of the instability that we have, hail will be possible. Not seeing any of that now, but especially later on this afternoon in south of Atlanta. And while the threat is low, unfortunately, that threat for tornadoes does definitely exist today. Isolated tornadoes. I'm not forecasting a tornado outbreak or anything like that, but it will be possible to see a tornado or two. So that's why we really want you to stay weather ready. One thing that I can tell you that they're good news, if you can say that, we had second highest pollen count on record over the weekend in Atlanta on Saturday in particular. So we know pollen's been really, really tough for everybody, particularly the tree pollen. But with the rain that we're getting today, it's going to go down very briefly and just a tiny little bit. The pollen is actually expected to be extreme again today because even though we're going to get rain, that rain's not happening until later on this afternoon. So the pollen's already doing its thing. So unfortunately, it will be high, of extreme really today. Tuesday, we're going to take it down to high because we'll get rain this afternoon. It'll cool off a little bit overnight, so that should help lower it a little bit, but still high. That's still going to bother you. And then by Wednesday, going into Thursday, I mean, we're talking about highs near 90 degrees, so that pollen will quickly turn back to extreme. One thing I will note is, for the most part, we've been dealing with tree pollen, but over the weekend, weeds started to pop up. So not only are you having to deal with tree pollen, but weeds are also in the mix as well. So that would explain why you may have experienced some allergy issues over the weekend for the first time. For those of you just recently started experiencing allergy problems, probably because those weeds are starting to come up. The tree pollen has been out there like all month, but the weeds are what's starting to catch up here. So that explains that over the weekend. So good luck with that pollen. Again, tomorrow, a little bit lower, but then back to extreme for the rest of the week. And the rain is why the pollen will be slightly lower tomorrow. The rain is on our doorstep, so that's a look at first alert radar. Again, no severe weather, but those storms they're really booking. It's 11:09 right now. I have our timing in Metro Atlanta between noon and 1 p.m. in terms of when it's moving in. By Metro Atlanta, I'm talking to you in like Cherokee County, Bartow County, Floyd County, not Floyd County, but Cobb County, Paulding County. It's pretty close to Bartow County, so it looks like we're right on schedule for noon, if not a little bit before that, when it starts to move into Metro Atlanta. For the city of Atlanta, right at 1 o'clock, that activity will be right over us. Let's go back to our hail tracker here. I'm going to keep showing you that as well, just to make sure hail does not pop up this afternoon, or at least this morning. And I'm going to take the lightning off so you can see the hail. So again, that's an encouraging sign. You can see the hail tracks, which were back in Alabama, but none of that activity is in, maybe a little bit in North. So I was showing you earlier the radar that actually shows the rain. And remember I was saying that we were seeing some of those purples pop up on radar. In fact, I'll show you that. But that purple could have been heavy rain or it could have been hail. Just because of the environment we're in right now, some smaller hail. I wasn't seeing that on my hail tracker earlier, but that's popping up now. So yes, these storms may produce some small hail. It looks like it's just taking a second for it to catch up on radar. That's not a lot, but that does show me that some small hail will be possible in some of these cells. And I do believe that those are the cells that have that pink on them. So we'll go back to your reflectivity. Look at this. Yeah, it matches perfectly. This activity that's about to move into Dalton, you're dry in Dalton in like less than 5 minutes that the storms are headed your way in Dalton. I'm going to turn the lightning back on so it doesn't deceive you, so we can get a better idea of what's happening here. There's really no lightning here, so I actually have the lightning turned on. And to prove it, I'm going to put on our lightning counter, so 3 strikes. 3 strikes, so not much lightning. But my point here is just south of Tunnel Hill, notice that little purple. So I do believe that that is small hail now that our hail tracker has started to pick up on that. So in addition to heavy rain in Dalton, a little bit of hail will also be possible for you. My hail tracker wasn't showing a ton, but in addition to heavy rain, don't be surprised if you see a little bit of hail, again, up to 40-mile-per-hour winds. This is not severe, but a 40-mile-per-hour wind is something you're going to notice. So Dalton, you are on deck for some really good rain that'll last. The heaviest rain, like maybe 5-10 minutes, and then the heaviest rain will be over, and then it's just lighter rain for several hours, as a matter of fact. Let's take it further south. If you were in Floyd County, Rome, you're up. So it's basically moving into your location right now. In Rome, I'm seeing really just heavy rain. Again, I do have the lightning turned on. I'm showing 4 lightning strikes in Floyd County, but all of that is north of Rome. So if you're in Rome, it's just heavy rain that's going to move over your area. Again, that heavy rain in Rome, it looks like let's loop this for you. Looping helps us to see very quickly kind of the speed that this stuff is moving at. And that's moving at a pretty good clip there. It's moving right for Rome, though. So if it's not already starting to rain on you in Rome, that's going to happen very soon. So a heads up for you in Floyd County. But again, that's just rain. It's not severe. And as I show you Floyd County, what I'm doing on my other computer here is clocking a speed so I can tell you guys how fast this activity is moving. And we can do some tracks here to give you a better idea of when it's going to be exactly in your location. We have all these tools here that we can use to get this information very quickly, which is good. So that's what I'm doing here. And it looks like this activity is moving about 35 miles per hour. So what we'll do on first alert radar, which is back here. I'm going to zoom out here. I want to do just a big track so I can start putting some towns and locations on radar for you to give you a better idea of what's happening. I've been kind of telling you in the next 15 minutes, in the next 30 minutes. This is a more specific timing for you. Again, these are moving toward the east, southeast at 35 miles per hour. So to give you a better idea of that track, there you go, moving southeast. Now we'll put the track on. You'll know everybody will see heavy rain and at least some lightning as the leading edge of this moves through. I'm going to do one big track here. I'm going to stop it in Floyd County. And let's take you at 35 miles per hour. Okay, so here we go. Plainville, 11:17. You have heavy rain moving in your location and some lightning. For those of you in Calhoun, up in Gordon County, 11:21. For perspective, it's 11:14 right now. So in Calhoun, in less than 10 minutes, just about 10 minutes from now, you'll get some pretty heavy rain headed your way. Chatsworth, 11:24, heavy rain headed your way and some lightning. Adairsville, 11:28. In Kingston at 11:33, you have heavy rain and lightning moving your way. This activity is not severe at this point, but it will be capable of producing damaging winds. So if you see a severe thunderstorm warning pop up on your phone, it will be because of damaging winds. Right now, those winds are at about 40 miles per hour. A severe thunderstorm warning is a 58-mile-per-hour wind that could bring trees down. So that's what that means if you ultimately get under a severe thunderstorm warning. We're not seeing any warnings right now, which is good, but it could happen at any moment. All right, I'm going to zoom back down. We were in Floyd County there. Take you back to Polk County. So Polk County, you're also on deck here. Northwest Polk County is where the showers and storms are moving in now. Cedartown, you were next. So within the next 5 to 10 minutes, heavy rain and lightning is headed your way. That's moving out of Cave Spring and towards you. So if you're in Cave Spring, you're seeing heavy rain. The heavy rain is moving out, but the lighter rain will continue for you, of course. And I want to kind of reiterate that for everybody. It's sort of two phases to this. The initial phase, as the activity is first moving in, is the heaviest. So whatever storm activity you're seeing, right as that line moves in, that'll be the strongest. And that'll last for like 10 minutes because the line of storms is actually pretty thin. So about 10 minutes of pretty heavy rain, lightning, and perhaps some gusty winds. And then after that 10 minutes passes by, the rain will lighten up and it'll really just be rain. But as you can see, that rain is all the way back to like Birmingham. So the rain's going to continue for quite some time this afternoon. But that leading edge is where your threat for severe weather will be at its highest. And again, we're in really good shape now because there's simply no warnings, which is certainly good. I'm going to take a brief pause. I'm going to get back to Carroll County, Haralson County, and Heard County. But I want to make sure there's no new information coming in from the National Weather Service. Because that's what we're here for, by the way, extended severe weather coverage on Atlanta News First Plus. The idea is just to keep you up to date on what's happening in real time. We can do that on Atlanta News First Plus. On Atlanta News First, we have to wait until something really big happens, but just want to answer all of your questions and make sure you're good to go before the event moves in. So I'm going to continue to do some radar analysis for you. If we have any new information whatsoever, you'll get that right away. All of the information is right here at my fingertips. So that's the point of this extended coverage, is to make sure that you know exactly what you need to know before this activity moves in. And we do not have, oh, it looks like we do have some wind damage reports. I believe, though, this is old. So we don't have any new information from the National Weather Service as of now. Other than, I was telling you before, we do have some special weather statements that are being issued. So with the National Weather Service at the moment, what they're deciding to do is, instead of issuing severe thunderstorm warnings, because the storms are just slightly below severe limits, they're issuing what are called special weather statements, which lets us know, lets you know that the storms are there, they're coming, but they're not quite severe. So again, heavy rain, lightning, 40-mile-per-hour winds. You're going to notice that 40-mile-per-hour wind. A severe wind, though, is 58, and we're just not seeing that at this point, which is certainly good news. Also, as a reminder, download our First Alert Weather app. Make sure that's ready to go. Thankfully, no warnings now, but if a warning is issued, that alert comes to your phone immediately. So make sure and get that downloaded. We just got an update here from the National Weather Service. I'm going to see what they're saying. So I was telling you before about the idea of a watch being issued. So I'm going to go back to that severe thunderstorm watch. We got sort of two separate scenarios that are happening here at the same time. So our first severe thunderstorm watch was issued this morning to address the storms that were initially moving into northwest Georgia. And then they decided to extend that because the storms are quickly moving toward the southeast. So right now, the severe thunderstorm watch is from Fannin County to Gilmer County to Pickens County to Cherokee County to Paulding County to Carroll County in northwestward. That warning expires at 1 o'clock, and that makes perfect sense because those storms are already starting to clear northwest Georgia. We knew that a new watch would be issued at some point for Atlanta. The National Weather Service just said that will happen. So if you're in Metro Atlanta, you are not under an alert yet, but expect a severe thunderstorm watch at least to be issued for you at some point here soon. And that's really going to cover all of North Georgia. And that's because as this line moves through, everybody's really going to have the same threat. At least we're not seeing that now, but that will be possible throughout the afternoon. So that's some new information. We can confirm that a watch will be issued, a severe thunderstorm watch for Metro Atlanta. It's not out yet, but that will be coming soon. Before those storms move in. So when you see that, you already know in advance, you've been warned, that watch is coming. Just a reminder, a watch does not mean that you're going to see severe weather like immediately. It just means to watch out for the potential for severe weather, which is what we're seeing on radar. When a warning is issued, that is when you want to take action. That means that it's actually happened. Watch means watch out for something down the road. Warning means take action. So we don't have any warnings. You don't need to take action now, but the watch is issued to just kind of get you ready. And we do believe we'll see some severe thunderstorm warnings, specifically for wind damage this afternoon. So there you go with the latest information on that severe thunderstorm watch. Again, it's not out yet, but it will be issued relatively soon, we're being told, by the National Weather Service. Okay, outside of that, the line is still holding together. One of the things that I am noticing, again, most of the lightning had been south of I-20. I am starting to see more lightning pop back up, though, north of I-20. So again, this is not the type of event that we've seen over the past several months where the storms weaken as they move into North Georgia. Because of the little heating that we are going to get today, that's fuel for storms. So I do believe that these will increase a bit in intensity as the activity moves on. Now, what we're going to be watching here is timing is going to be everything. Okay, because we're really just looking at this leading edge. That's where you have your highest risk of stronger storms. So if we can get that leading edge into Atlanta before the heating starts, that's good because that'll keep the severe weather risk down. Basically, the later we go into the afternoon, the more heating you'll see, the stronger or higher your risk for severe weather. That's why we believe as you go further south, you're going to have a higher risk of severe weather. Like Edenton, Covington, Griffin, Thomaston, you got some time before these storms move in. So it's very possible that you'll warm up enough to provide more juice for these storms. So the later the storms are moving into your area, the worse, because those storms are going to have time to get their act together. But the sooner they move in, the better. And that's what's happening in Northwest Georgia right now. We hadn't had a single warning in Northwest Georgia. Metro Atlanta, it'll be close. Can't rule out some warnings, but timing will be important. When you get these storms through here now before we can really heat things up later on this afternoon. But we do think that's going to happen, especially south of I-20. But that's what that lightning means, is lightning gives us a pretty good indicator of what the storms may potentially do. And I am seeing that lightning increase a little bit, really throughout that entire line. Instead of it being just the south part of the line, that entire line has lightning on it now. So that's not the greatest sign. But again, no alerts at the moment. We do have First Alert Meteorologist, Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez. She is working on your forecast for Atlanta News First at noon. So don't forget to join her, because whatever changes we have in your forecast, she'll provide those for you. Right now, I'm just giving you sort of a real-time analysis. But while I'll do that, Jen and JD is back there working on your forecast for noon. So any changes that we need to address with you will happen on Atlanta News First at noon. So you'll be good to go there. Thank you so much, Maria. Maria just brought me a smart water. So I'm going to step off camera for just a second to drink that smart water, because I am definitely tired of talking. Give me about 30 seconds. And Maria brought the smart water, expensive water. Thank you. All right, back to First Alert Radar. Again, no severe weather warnings. I do want to zoom back in on the mountains, because for most of the morning, if you're in the mountains, you've really just been seeing spotty showers. But the storms are now actually starting to move closer to you in the mountains. So if you were in Ellijay, if you were in Blue Ridge, again, spotty showers have been sort of ongoing for you all morning, but you can see that line that's moving your way. So that rain's really going to pick up for you in addition to some lightning. I'm going to do a loop so you can get an idea of the direction that this activity is moving in. This is moving more east, a little bit southeast, but more east for those of you in the mountains, and it's moving at 35 miles per hour. So to help you out, I'm going to start putting some towns and cities on the map for you in the mountains to let you know when this line of stronger storms will move your way. Again, 35 miles per hour, just a little bit south of east. If you were in Calhoun, again, 1124, it's basically right now in Calhoun. For those of you in Chatsworth, 1132, heavy rain, lightning moving your way. Ellijay, 1202, just after noon, heavy rain, lightning headed your way in Gilmer County. Blue Ridge, 1205. Heavy rain, lightning headed your way. Morganton, 1210. Jasper, 1214. So again, in the mountains, you've really just seen spotty showers. That will change soon. Now you're going to start dealing with some heavy rain and some lightning that'll last for like 10 minutes before it goes back to just rain. Another track further south, as this activity gets closer to Metro Atlanta, we're going to start seeing more cities and towns from Metro Atlanta pop up. Again, I'm tracking this southeast at about 35 miles per hour. Really more east than anything. You're dry now in Atlanta. We do have some showers out there in Monroe, some spotty showers also near Commerce. But for the most part, if you have any errands to run or anything like that in Atlanta, you're good to go. Do at least lunch. This line's pretty far back. But here is your track, again, toward the east-southeast. This is going to touch the western edge of Metro Atlanta. Still a little far away. Adairsville, 1127. The leading edge of those storms headed your way. Tallapoosa, 1136. Not that long from now in Tallapoosa. Harley, 1145. You have storms headed your way. Taylorsville, 1145. Rockmart, 1146. So yeah, we're still a little bit too far west of Atlanta. But as I mentioned before, it's afternoon, it's after lunch that those storms will start to move. And so between lunch and 1 p.m., those storms will be sliding eastward into Metro Atlanta. So whatever you have to do in Atlanta, you're good to go right now. If you got to run an errand and go to the grocery store, but that will change for you after lunch. And really, after lunch, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, we feel like that's sort of the biggest threat time. 3 o'clock, it's moving out. By 4 o'clock, the stronger storms at least will be completely out of the region. So they mentioned that they would issue this new watch. They haven't actually issued it yet. But again, once they issue that severe thunderstorm watch, you'll have that information right away. Right now, the watch is still focused just northwest of Atlanta, and with absolutely no warnings. Check in on temperatures again, because again, the temperatures are part of the story. You can see a little yellow popping up, so I'm going to take the actual numbers off. The green are 60s. That yellow you see, so this is actually a pretty good map. The yellows that you see, that's where the 70s are starting to creep in. The 70s aren't really hot, but relative to the storms, that's fuel. So that's, again, why we think that the threat of severe weather may be further south, where you're going to get a bit more heating. You can clearly see that yellow south of Atlanta. And some of it's popping up in Atlanta, too, indicating some 70s starting to pop up. So our highs have been happening just before 5. So that's how much heating we'll have. We'll have several hours of heating, which is why south of Atlanta, there's going to be some time to heat up before those storms move in, which may not be the greatest news for you in terms of severe weather. So that's what that yellow means. But at the moment, the actual temperatures are still in the 60s, at least the official temperatures at the airport, which is good. Back to first alert radar. And we still have some time. We still have plenty of time before these showers and storms actually move into Metro Atlanta, but we'll keep watching them for you. I'm multitasking. I'm on first alert radar. I'm also in the chat just to see if there's any new information that's coming. I don't even see any damage reports anywhere. So that's what we'll do next, is just kind of zoom out and see what's been happening back in Alabama. That's always a good sign. Although, again, today it's a little different because normally we're sort of watching for the storms in Alabama as they move into North Georgia. Today the storms may be strengthening as they move into North Georgia. So Alabama may not be the greatest indicator, but there was some nasty stuff overnight in Alabama. I'm going to zoom out here. I'm going to briefly take the radar off. And we're just going to look at storm reports just to get an idea of what this stuff has been doing so far today. Yeah, okay, well, I stand correct. That's a lot of storm reports. So the blue that you see here, there's a combination of things. We have mostly hail reports. So I was telling you about that hail as it came out of Alabama. That's been most of the reports in Alabama. There have been some wind reports where you see that tree that snapped in half. A few reports in Alabama. Most of these reports, though, really stretch back until like Mississippi and Tennessee, Arkansas, and as you can see, almost all of these reports are for hail. Those red icons that you see there, those are tornado reports, but most of this stuff has just been hail. So hail has been the primary mode for the system so far. Let's see how far back we're looking here with this storm report. This is 36 hours. I'm going to do 24 hours. Do 12 hours. So this is the last 12 hours. So a lot of hail reports. The wind reports are really more in like Kentucky and Tennessee. For the most part, the stuff that's moving into North Georgia has had a history of producing hail with just some occasional wind damage. So that gives you a little bit of an indicator of what's been happening. But again, that could be a little deceiving today because we're going to get a bit more heating later on this afternoon. So even though there hasn't been a ton of wind damage, it doesn't mean that won't be possible later on today. But so far, so good. No alerts as we take you back to first alert radar. No alerts whatsoever, which is certainly good news. But we're watching that lightning as this activity starts to move toward the south and east. Taking little water breaks because I am my voice is about to go away. So with some help, we have meteorologist JD here. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good. It's going good.
Phenomenal.
So I'm going to let you get some water.
Gracias. I'm going to take a long break. Enjoy.
Absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and do a switch off here at the 11:30 hour. So obviously, we're continuing to watch the showers and storms that are going to be pushing into the area as we head into the afternoon. Like Rodney, you're going to see me kind of holding different laptops and looking at different screens. So I might not be looking at the camera the entire time, but just trying to make sure that we have the best information to give you as we head into the afternoon. Latest update on the National Weather Service chat. Rodney already explained this, but they are currently talking with the SPC out in Norman, Oklahoma, because we do expect a severe thunderstorm watch to be issued within the hour for the majority of our viewing area, or this line of showers and storms that's going to be sliding down toward the south and east. So it's kind of one of those situations where the storms themselves are pushing up to the northeast, but the actual line movement is going to be down to the southeast. So as I get my bearings here, obviously we still have a lot of lightning. Rodney was mentioning that. As we take a look at the lightning tracker, you can see 383 strikes over the course of the last 15 minutes. And that's continuing to increase. And what that means is we're continuing to watch these storms really start to tap into that energy that we have available across northwest Georgia right now. Those temperatures are starting to climb ahead of the front. We're at 68 degrees right now at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. And that temperature has jumped about 1.5 degrees over the last hour. So we're starting to see that warming trend ahead of the front. And as that continues to warm, these storms will be able to feed off of that, and then we're going to continue to watch the development. Now, not to say that's going to guarantee a warning, but the conditions are starting to come together as we head into the afternoon, and that's one of the things that we're going to be kind of keeping an eye on. All right, so, yep, National Weather Service says the watch should be issued not only within the hour, but probably within the next 5 minutes. So as soon as that's issued, we will bring that to you. And for now, I do want to kind of zoom in, though, on some of these heavier storms. Right now, for folks down into Heard County, we do have a nice little thunderstorm that's going to be pushing into your area in from Randolph County in Alabama. Meanwhile, behind that towards Alexander City, that line really extends all the way up towards Lineville and up towards the Heflin area, and then pushes up towards Polk County in northwest Georgia and then through the Rome area. All of this is going to be sliding off towards the northeast at about 35 miles an hour. So as I just want to do the part that's in Alabama just to give our folks in Georgia a kind of heads up of what's going to be going on. So get my bearings straight here. All right, so for folks into Rockmart, this is going to be coming into your area as we head into 1205. Taylorsville, 1214. Dallas, obviously still recovering from those storms we had just a few weeks ago. This is going to be heading into your area at 1221. So the good news is we're going to be looking at the potential for showers and storms to, hey Rodney, we're still on your max right now, just to give you a heads up. If we can go ahead and switch over to max 4, that way Rodney will be able to work on his max and we'll be able to continue to bring you coverage. But that's a good thing. We do still have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect right now for northwest Georgia. This is until 1 p.m. The new watch is going to be coming out very shortly. I guarantee you it's going to be heading through the evening commute and will include a large portion of that viewing area. So as we kind of take a look, we're going to continue to watch these showers and storms push through. Again, I want to reiterate, we're going to be looking for the potential for damaging straight line winds, and we're going to be looking for the chance of an isolated tornado throughout the afternoon. So here's that severe thunderstorm watch. Again, we are expecting it to be issued very shortly. It takes a little time for the National Weather Service to get all the coding information and everything set, and then to actually issue that watch for you. But here we go, back on your first alert radar. So again, Dallas still recovering from those storms a few weeks ago. We do expect this thunderstorm to roll into your area by 1221, and Hiram by 1229. So that's for you folks into Paulding County. Now keep in mind, this is not a severe thunderstorm. This is a thunderstorm that is showing the potential for some pea-sized hail right now. So whenever I want to zoom in real quick to this cell over here in northern Cleburne, Alabama, just to the north of 78. So this is going to be moving over towards the Buchanan area, Tallapoosa. Whenever you see that darker purple color, that's usually an indication that we do have some hail that's going to be pushing into the area. And so I'm trying to get a little bit of look right now. And it's not picking up. It did pick up some earlier, just north of Jacksonville over in Alabama. But, we're continuing to watch some heavy rain and some lightning as well. So whenever you start to see some of those yellow strikes pop in, that's typically the newer lightning, and that's going to be really the storm developing as it goes through the afternoon. So that's the one we want to watch. Another one we want to watch is down here into Randolph County in Alabama, focus across the Lake Wedowee area. Or neck of the woods, as really it's over the lake right now, but moving into Wedowee proper across Highway 48 right now. And if we time this out again, moving off to the northeast, about 35 miles an hour. So we'll eventually bring it up towards the Carrollton area. Right now, though, moving in towards Wedowee at 10:42 a.m. Central Time, moving in towards Woodland at 10:50 Central Time, and eventually crossing the line. So Bowden, you're going to be up just after the noon hour. Folks over at the University of West Georgia, 12:17. Carrollton, 12:20, and Central Hatchie about 12:22. So this is just a heads up for you folks in Carroll County. Now, again, we're not seeing any warnings with this, but this particular storm does have the potential to bring us 30 to 40 mile an hour winds as it continues to push off into the Georgia counties, I should say. So again, most of this knocking on the door of the Georgia-Alabama border, and will continue to do so as we go throughout the next several minutes for this particular area into Heard County and to Carroll County, but it will eventually make its way over in towards the Atlanta area as well. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on that. I do kind of want to bring up some timing on this. I'm going to look at the HRRR model real quick and just to kind of look and see what we're going to be dealing with as we go throughout. So notice this particular model, this is noon, so we're talking maybe in about 20-25 minutes here. It does bring the line into northwest Georgia. This particular model has been the better one at predicting where this showers and storms will develop. It hasn't been perfect, so kind of take it with a grain of salt, but it does show it continuing to push in towards the metro Atlanta as we get in towards the 1 to 2 o'clock hour, and then sliding through as we get into about 3 to 4 o'clock, and then finally starting to push out. But you notice on the back side of this, and we were talking about this last night at Atlanta News First at 10 and 11, you notice we do have this line that's trying to build on the back side of that. That's the actual cold front itself. And even if we don't get a lot of convection with this line, it is a very strong cold front, as evident by the showers and storms that are building up today, obviously. But because of that, we could see some non-thunderstorm wind gusts rolling in with this particular front. So even if we don't have the thunderstorms, could still see some very gusty winds, 35 to 45 miles an hour later this evening, just after the sunset time period, with these showers and storms as they continue to slide off towards the east. So just kind of keep that in mind. Even though we are going to get that break this afternoon, it is not over until we can get this front over. And that's, again, for Metro Atlanta is going to be right around sunset for the day. Now, as we take a look at your severe outlook for today as well, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. We do have a level 3 risk for most of the area. So you'll notice that is basically from Rome, Canton, and Gainesville down towards the south. What that means is the severe threat is likely for today. Our main threat, and we want to emphasize, is it's going to be damaging straight line winds. That's really what we're going to be looking for as we head into the afternoon and into the early evening hours. That doesn't mean we are not going to see any tornadoes. It just means the tornado threat is on the lower end. That's why the National Weather Service and the Severe Prediction Center are going to be issuing that severe thunderstorm watch instead of a tornado watch. Now, keep in mind, damaging straight line winds can be very damaging. It's literally in the name there. So treat those warnings as you would a tornado warning there, because those higher end 70 mile an hour threats that we are seeing for today, obviously those are going to be isolated. Not everyone's going to see them, but where those storms do pop up, it could cause a lot of damage for you. So the main thing is just to be very weather aware. You want to download the Atlanta News First Alert Weather app. We can get those warnings to you there. You can also get a live look at the radar. And then also you can keep up with us and those app updates as we go throughout the day. So that's one of the things that we're going to be looking at. I'm going to go ahead and get us back to our radar so we can keep an eye on the storms that are pushing in across the viewing area. Max is loading up. Oh, someone changed my video input feed. Give me just 1 second. It was a nice look at traffic. It was flowing really well, actually, so good to see that. Meanwhile, here's the radar itself. Now, we're looking continuously, basically from Murray County up into northwest Georgia, down through Gordon, and then into Bartow, I should say, Floyd County, and then Polk and Haralson, and then it starts to get back into Cleburne and Alabama. So that's basically where we're seeing the strongest of the storms in our viewing area at the moment. Pretty intense cell up here. Roddy was talking about it earlier, just now having passed through the Dalton area, now about to move through Eaton and over in towards Chatsworth, into eastern Murray County. Eventually, this will be sliding its way towards Ellijay and Blue Ridge and Gilmer and Fannin counties as well. Want to emphasize again, this is not a severe thunderstorm, but it is going to be seeing winds 30 to 40 miles an hour. And you will notice that as we go throughout really the next hour or so as this continues to slide off to the east-northeast. So again, for those folks in Fannin and Gilmer County, let's go ahead and track that out for you. We're going to be looking at Carter's Lake around 11:58. Copper Hill, 12:13. McKaysville, 12:13 as well. Ellijay, 12:15. Blue Ridge and Morganton around the bottom of the hour of the next hour. So, we're talking 12:30 at that time. So it will take its time to get there. Unfortunately, as we mentioned earlier, that does give it some potential to kind of tap into a little bit of that warmth that we're seeing for today. Notice temperatures slowly starting to creep up a bit. Already seeing 70 degrees in Eatonton, 68 in Covington and Atlanta, Griffin, really a lot of 68s there. And as we go into the afternoon, these numbers are slowly going to rise. It's not going to be a huge jump in these temperatures, but every degree, it means more and more energy for these storms to feed off of. So it doesn't take much. Really, once we break that 70-degree barrier, that's when the storms will really be able to tap into that moisture and the energy available and start pushing through. Obviously, though, what that means is for folks who live south of I-20 and really east of I-85, so we're talking over near Thomaston, Griffin, Covington, Eatonton, into Rockdale, Newton counties, over and towards Putnam and Baldwin, you're going to be seeing the best threat for severe weather today just because you're farther to the east. So it's going to be a little bit warmer as we head into the afternoon when those storms finally arrive into your area. And we're going to watch the storms start to feed off of that. So I think it's interesting. Remember how I said one of the model that we were looking at was the better one that kind of had a handle on this. But it's not perfect. It did have showers and storms kind of building up ahead of this line earlier this morning, which has not materialized. Obviously, some great news. In the short term, in the long term, though, those showers and storms could have helped to take a little bit of the energy out of the atmosphere. Instead, it's all going to go into this line. But notice, for folks over into far eastern areas of our viewing county, so we're talking over near Athens and Oconee County, and then back over towards really halfway to Augusta, we are starting to see a little bit of shower and storm activity. So it is giving us a little hint that some of that convection, that thunderstorm activity is starting to bubble up a little bit. So for those folks, you will need to kind of keep an eye on that as we go throughout the afternoon. You heard me take a pause there because they have finally issued that severe thunderstorm watch, and I'm going to do my best to get it to you as quickly as I can. Pretty much, though, it is the rest of the viewing area until we get into 7 o'clock this evening. Thank you, Rodney, for getting this put together so I can steal it from your workspace and share it with everybody. So here is that latest watch. This is for pretty much everyone in our viewing area except Northwest Georgia. And again, though, so if you're in Floyd County right now and you're going, hey, why am I not included in this? It's because the storms have already passed you. So once this initial line moves through, we don't expect the severe threat to be as widespread. Therefore, it'll be more of a localized event with that later line this evening. So we'll keep an eye on that. But for the most part, we are going to be looking at the metro Atlanta area. So pretty much everyone from LaGrange over towards Thomaston and north to Ellijay and Helen, i.e. our entire area almost. We're going to be looking at this severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the viewing area until 7 p.m. Pardon me there. I'm going to have to take a sip of water in just a minute here just so I can continue to keep talking. Meanwhile, the severe thunderstorm watch itself, it gives us an idea of what the National Weather Service is thinking. They are basically agreeing with the models that the biggest threat for us is going to be strong, damaging straight line winds with an isolated tornado. Had the tornado threat been higher, they would have obviously issued that tornado watch, but they did not choose to go that route. So, that gives you an idea into, what they're thinking and what they're planning and what they're prepping as we head throughout the afternoon. I do want to kind of focus down here on this cell over the Auburn-Opelika area. So it's basically moving up I-85. So for folks who are going to be up into the LaGrange area, into Troup County, this is going to be heading your way. Again, we got the pinks there in the higher levels of the atmosphere, so I do expect a little bit of hail with this. And again, not a lot of hail. Hail is not our main threat today, but the pea-sized hail and to nickel-sized hail threat with these storms is likely. So as we get in towards, 12:15, we're looking at Valley, Lynette at 12:20, Hamilton 12:33, probably LaGrange as we get in towards 12:35. So if you got about another 45, 50 minutes before this starts to move up in towards you folks over into Troup County. But for folks a little bit farther to the north of that, we're already starting to see that lightning activity increase. Again, the whole line itself, when I came on today, and our view is here. The whole line itself was looking at around 400. And that's exactly what we're at right now. But we're continuing to see the lightning really develop in this particular section of the line. And that's what it's been all morning long. So this, again, extending from Wedowee up through Heflin and Randolph and Cleburne counties in Alabama, and then up towards Haralson County right now in our Georgia area. So this is kind of what we're looking at right now. Tallapoosa, you're getting the heaviest of the rain. This particular little area where we have the pink, I'm going to zoom in. Let's get some roads on here. This is again in Polk County between Little Creek and Poplar Springs. Whenever we have a nice little lightning cluster like this over the area with purple, it typically indicates hail, in this case smaller hail, so pea-sized hail possible for folks in this area. So we're going to be talking near Crossroads Church Road, Wildcat Road, Roy Brown Road, Poplar Springs Road. As we go into, really the next few minutes or so. It'll slowly be working its way over towards Abernathy's Mill, Felton, up into the northern portion of Haralson County. Buchanan, I think this is going to go off to your north, not the storm itself. You're going to see a lot of lightning out of this and a lot of gusty winds and some heavy rain, but I think that little hail potential is going to be clearing your area and then making its way over towards the Rockmore area as we get in towards the next hour or so for folks over in towards Polk County. So, it's a lot of little nuances that we're kind of keeping an eye on it. One of the other things to notice when we're looking at a radar like this, I'll go ahead and zoom in towards Cleburne and then Carroll counties as well. And whenever you see it go basically from a really light green to a really dark red or purple like we're seeing between Bowden and Ranburne over here, that's typically indications that we have some very gusty winds with this. Obviously, not enough to trigger that severe thunderstorm warning, as Rodney was saying earlier. You got to have 58 miles an hour for that. And for those of you wondering why it's such an arbitrary number like 58, it actually has to do with knots. I want to say that's actually like 55 knots, which is what the official wind speed measurements are taken with the National Weather Service. So there's your little fun fact for today. Not seeing much in the way of velocity, and I'm not looking for rotation here. This is not what we're expecting to see, but for the most part, we're going to be seeing I was hoping to see maybe some darker colors and some lighter colors. Okay, so we have like here, we're during Wadley and Roanoke in southern Randolph County, Alabama. That just kind of gives you an idea of where some of the gustier winds would be. But for the most part, I think everybody along this leading edge is going to be seeing that potential as we go throughout the next few hours. Let's go ahead and zoom up in here into Bartow County. Obviously, Cartersville, a nice population center in this particular area, especially for folks who are going to be over near the Lake Altoona area. Again, this is not a severe thunderstorm warning and not even a lot of lightning with this particular segment of the line, which kind of tells me that this isn't developing as much as we're seeing down to the south. And I'm going to go ahead and guess, for lack of a better word, that's because we just don't have a lot of the energy here and the temperatures are slightly cooler on this northern edge. So, but for folks in Kingston all the way up to Adairsville, this is some still very heavy rain for you folks. And we're going to notice that that's going to be pushing off towards the east. So folks in Cartersville, White, Fairmount, Waleska, all this is eventually going to be heading your way. Let's go ahead and time that out. I'll do the southern edge of this line from Taylorsville and Kingston off to the northeast, and we'll time it out. It's moving about 35 miles an hour. So yeah, that does bring us to Cartersville as we head into the next 20 minutes or so. Waleska, 12:23, so 40 minutes. And for folks up into Ball Ground, you're going to be looking at 12:44. So not quite as quick of a mover as we've seen in previous severe systems that have kind of slid through the area. But overall, it's still getting its little move on here. And again, we're starting to see, I'm kind of focusing in on this line here. Obviously, it's got the most in terms of moisture and in terms of lightning as well. We're going to continue to see basically this line get a little bit more agitated in the atmosphere. Because so, we're seeing a little bit more of a pink color on this particular segment. I want to go ahead and see if, because notice we got a little bit here, a little bit here. They're all kind of embedded in here, and that's usually an idea that the line is starting to come together. So this is a little more pink on the radar than what we saw just 10 minutes ago. So again, this line is strengthening. So that's why kind of one of the reasons that we're watching it. We're going to continue to watch it as we head over into the next hour or so. So Carrollton, you probably already hear the showers and storms off into the distance. You're going to notice that it's going to be pushing into your area. So for Rooteville, over into Carrollton, over into Whitesburg, all of this heading your way in the next hour or so. And you'll notice where we have these little pink areas that I mentioned, we also have those lightning clusters as well. So that's one of the ways that we look and identify which segments of the line are starting to intensify and which ones are starting to develop. Now, it doesn't mean it's intensifying very rapidly, but it does mean that it is slowly but surely getting stronger as it starts to tap into a little bit of that energy in the atmosphere. I do want to kind of take a look and see how much energy we're dealing with right now. We're going to be looking at, well, that's 11 p.m. Saturday. So let me go ahead and change this to the current time real quick. It'll take me all of 4 seconds. There we go. So yeah, we got plenty of energy to deal with. So you notice that storm fuel here as we go in towards the 11 a.m. to the noon hour is going to be looking on the higher end. So a level 3, level 4, really you kind of need that level 2 to kind of start to see that thunderstorm development. So it's interesting to see that we got plenty of energy. We call that CAPE, convective available potential energy. There's your inside baseball. Basically what that's saying is how much energy do you have in the sky above you for these storms to feed off of as they develop. So we got plenty of that. We got the warmth. Now we're just kind of waiting for it to happen. So as that line of showers and storms continues to push off towards the east, northeast, we'll continue to watch and see. Now, again, I do want to kind of jump to the southern line here. So for folks down into Heard County, Franklin, you got the storms heading your way over from Roanoke in the next 30 minutes or so. Bowden, almost on your doorstep. Storms right now back over in the Ada area and over in towards Woodland and continuing to push off to the northeast. So that means Carrollton, Mount Zion, Waco, all cutting your way. Tallapoosa, Buchanan, already on your doorstep. So you notice lots of lightning, maybe some pea-sized hail, and some very gusty winds that are going to be sliding off towards the east and eventually pushing your way. So we're starting to get the line knocking on the metro area's door. We're going to notice that for folks into Bartow County, Cobb County, Cherokee County, Douglas County, Carroll County as we head into the next hour, and eventually pushing in across the metro Atlanta from Tyrone over into Coweta County up into Fulton and Forsyth County over the next hour and a half to 2 hours. So you notice behind the line, we do have some very heavy rain, and that's one thing I don't think we've talked about a lot in terms because of the severe threat that is ongoing across the area. But with the heavier rain behind the storms, there is the potential for some isolated areas of flash flooding as well. You notice if we look back into northern Alabama where the rain has kind of come to an end, we are seeing that they do have a few flash flood warnings. So I wouldn't be surprised if a few areas, particularly in the west central portion of the viewing area, so we're talking Carroll County up towards Cherokee, Bartow, and to the west, back out towards Alabama, you may see a few isolated flash flood warnings as we head into the afternoon. And then, wow, just a lot of lightning really popping up with this particular cell down here. So really, I think the biggest one that we're going to be looking at is going to be heading in towards Carrollton, Douglasville, Atlanta, Noonan, over in towards Clayton County and Fayette County as we get into the next hour and a half to 2 hours. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on this. Go ahead and time this out again, mainly because this is a pretty intense line in terms of lightning, which again, usually tells us exactly where it's heading. So a little bit farther out now, we're looking at University of West Georgia about 12:14, Carrollton 12:16, so you get about 20 minutes, Whitesburg 12:33, Villa Rica about 12:35, and eventually making its way towards Douglasville, over towards Anawake, Chapel Hills, and Lithia Springs as we get towards 12:45, 12:50. So these are all areas that are going to see the heaviest of the lightning threat. And again, lightning also very dangerous, can cause house fires, can cause property damage. And, you know, when thunder roars, head indoors. You don't want to be out and about doing this. So you got about another hour to complete your errands for folks in Douglas, Cobb, and Fulton counties before this starts to move on in. And even though it's not a severe thunderstorm, obviously with a lot of lightning, you just want to find your safe place, stay indoors, and then just kind of wait for the storm to push through. So after that, the heavier rain will begin, and we'll kind of wait and see what will happen as we head into the evening with that secondary line possible. But again, we're going to continue to watch this threat evolve as we go throughout the next several hours. Now, I do want to come back up here because we finally have that line exiting Murray County and starting to move into Blue Ridge, in towards the Ellijay area, over into Fannin and Gilmer counties. So not as much lightning with this particular cell. However, still got some shades of purple. Obviously, some very intense rainfall, some very gusty winds that are going to be pushing through this area as we go into the next hour or so. For folks down into Jasper, over in towards Waleska. Ball ground, this, as we showed you just a few minutes ago, is moving into your area within the next hour or so. And eventually Canton, Holly Springs, Woodstock, moving your way, and same for Kennesaw. So all of this really is going to start to bear down on the metro as we get in towards the 1 o'clock hour. And that's when we're going to continue to watch and see that threat evolve as we head into the afternoon with that severe thunderstorm watch that is also in effect. So again, we do want to remind you, we do have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect. It's until 7 o'clock p.m. Pretty much the entire viewing area, with the exception of Floyd, Chattooga, and those northwest Georgia counties. The reason for that is the line of storms have already passed your area, so we're not exactly expecting to see any redevelopment of severe weather as we head into the next several hours. Again, though, we do have that final line that'll push through around the sunset hour tonight, bringing some very gusty winds, so kind of keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up our stream coverage for the moment. We will be back later at 12:30. Because we're going to get our noon newscast ready. You can obviously catch us there on Atlanta News First from 12 to 12:30, and then we'll be back here live streaming from 12:30 through the rest of the afternoon as this line continues to push through Metro Atlanta.
Atlanta News First starts now with the First Alert Weather Day.
Now at noon, a line of strong storms is moving into metro Atlanta. Downed power lines and falling trees are big threats for families. And breaking right now, the chair of Georgia Democratic Party is vacant. Representative Nikema Williams has stepped down from the position, and a heartbreaking outcome in the search for the 4 Georgia soldiers who went missing in Lithuania. 3 of them are now confirmed dead. We start off, though, with a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for parts of Georgia. It is a First Alert weather day as we track the severe weather. Good afternoon to you. I'm Lana Harris. And First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez is in the Weather Center with the timeline here.
We are tracking a line of strong storms, potentially severe storms that will impact us throughout the afternoon. Here's a look at First Alert radar right now. This is why today's a First Alert weather day. Very heavy rain, frequent lightning, some gusty winds as this line continues to travel to the east at about 30 miles an hour. Seeing very heavy rain, frequent lightning now over West Georgia from western Carroll County through Haralson County, Polk County, and these storms are moving east at about 30 miles an hour. So you are going to see some strong gusty winds. These storms capable of producing 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Some small hail possible as well as very heavy rain and lightning to the University of West Georgia here in the next couple of minutes. Dallas at 12:10, Villa Rica 12:12, Powder Springs at 12:30, Douglasville around 12:31, then Kennesaw at 12:32. Line extends into North Georgia, moving through eastern portions of Gordon County, moving into Fannin-Gilmer County through Bartow County. This also moving east, taking these storms into Dallas at 12:08, Ellijay at 12:11. Towards Hiram at 12:25, Jasper at 12:25, Kennesaw at 12:27, then towards Kennesaw State University at 12:29. 40-mile-an-hour winds with these storms right now. But again, severe weather will be possible as these storms roll into the metro. All of North Georgia and all of metro Atlanta under a severe thunderstorm watch until 7 p.m. That is how long we are under that threat of severe weather as this line moves through the metro. Expecting a bulk of that line over Atlanta around 2 and 3 p.m. We'll track these storms for you, keep you updated throughout the entire half hour.
All right, sounds good, Jen. Thanks. And the severe weather that she's talking about there does have the potential to impact roads across the metro. So we want to get you a look at the conditions now with Atlanta News First Don Shipman. He is live in the Cool Ray First Alert Tracker. Don, I understand you're on I-75 northbound right now. So what's it looking like out there?
Yeah, we're just south of Bartow County right now, and I want to give you a look at what it looks like right now. The roads are nice and clear. The rain has not made its way here just yet, but when you look in the distance, there's certain points when we're on the highway where we could actually see the clouds, and it looks like it's raining way in the distance right there. So we'll be going into it shortly here. So you're going to be wanting to watch out for pooling in the roads, especially those low-lying areas. Give yourself some extra time if you have to be on the highway. Make sure you're slowing down. And also the Georgia Department of Transportation, they are out with that warning that they always give out. They want you to use caution, especially in construction zones. GDOT noting that those lane shifts and lane closures may still be in place even when it's raining. So if you see those orange cones, slow down, go slow, give those construction crews the space they need. We're going to continue to follow this and head a little bit further north until we find some rain, and we'll likely check back in with you. For now, though, we're live here in the First Alert Breaking News Tracker. Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
All right, Don, thanks for that. Breaking right now at noon, a huge shakeup at the top of Georgia's Democratic Party. Its chair, Congresswoman Nikema Williams, has stepped down. Williams has served in this role since 2019, and political reporter Doug Reardon is live in studio. Doug, her time ends as the party makes a key change to its rules.
Right, Lana, that rule change requires the chair of the Democratic Party to be full-time in their position. That would have made it just about impossible for Williams to serve while holding her role as a congresswoman. She had been serving as the party chair part-time. Williams did support this change, actually, and so did a lot of people inside the party. Delegates and elected leaders told us they want someone who is entirely dedicated to party affairs, and that became especially true after Democrats suffered some big losses up and down the ballot in November's general election, especially at that presidential level. Williams, because she served in Congress, also was limited in the amount of fundraising that she could do for the party, so that was another problem problem. She put out this statement after stepping down. She said, quote, "Through strategic vision, relentless organizing, and unwavering belief in the power of our people, we have turned this state into the battleground it was always meant to be." She went on to say, "In partnership, we have turned the DPG into a national force, and I know the best is still yet to come," unquote. Now, until the party chooses a new leader, Matthew Wilson, who is the first vice chair, will serve as interim. Lana?
All right, Doug, thanks for that. Also breaking right now at noon, 3 of the 4 U.S. soldiers who went missing in Lithuania have sadly been found dead. According to the U.S. Army, Europe and Africa Division, crews are still searching for that 4th soldier. The identities of the soldiers who've been found are being withheld right now until their families can be notified. All 4 soldiers went missing last Tuesday while conducting a mission to repair and tow a tactical vehicle, and the U.S. Army and Lithuanian armed forces found the soldiers' vehicle submerged in a swamp the next day. Now, here at home, it was a violent weekend in Atlanta. 2 people were killed within 3 miles of each other in separate incidents on the city's west side. The first incident is being investigated off McDaniel Street at an apartment complex. Police tell us a woman sustained a possible laceration and sadly died there at the scene before help could get there. Looking at Atlanta police crime data of that address since 2021, it lists multiple crimes reported there every month. Atlanta police are also investigating a deadly shooting. Officers say this one was a domestic situation and that someone shot and killed a man off of Joseph E. Lowry Boulevard. And in a shocking update this afternoon, rapper Young Scooter, whose real name is Kenneth Bailey, is dead after reportedly running from police. This happened Friday evening in southeast Atlanta. Police tell us Young Scooter fell while trying to climb a fence, injured his leg, and died from that injury at Grady Memorial Hospital. In his lifetime, the rapper had been signed to Atlanta rappers Future and Waka Flocka Flames as labels, and he died on his birthday. Separately here, a man was found dead in the front yard of a home in Rockdale County. It's been a tough day of news this afternoon. The sheriff's office says deputies went to the home on Hurst Road and McDaniel Mill Road after getting calls that shots were fired. Officials say details surrounding the incident are still unknown at this time, and investigators are working to find out what happened. But you can download our Atlanta News First app right now and see exactly all the breaking news stories that we're following this afternoon. But it is a First Alert Weather Day. We want to get right over to First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez with what you need to know to stay safe.
Now, First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez.
And we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Carroll County, South Fulton County, Douglas County, and far northern portions of Coweta County. This storm capable of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds and small hail as this moves to the east at about 40 miles an hour. I am watching this storm very closely because we are seeing some very weak rotation just southwest of Carrollton in portions of Carroll County. Not a tornado, but we're seeing a little bit of rotation within this severe thunderstorm. So certainly something the First Alert Weather Team is watching very closely. If this does become a tornado, we will let you know right away. Right now, it's those 60-mile-an-hour winds I'm most worried about as this moves to the east towards the University of West Georgia at 12:10, Carrollton at 12:11, Whitesburg at 12:23, Douglasville at 12:41, Tyrone at 12:48, Fairburn at 12:49, Union City at 12:52, then towards the Austell area at 12:52. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning. South Fulton County, Coweta County, portions of Douglas County as well. We'll continue to track this storm and have the latest in just a few minutes.
All right, sounds good, Jen, thanks. Well, it's now 12:08, and mark your calendars for April 10th. That is the day you want to get your tickets to the 2025 St. Jude Dream Home giveaway. Just one ticket puts you in the running for some really incredible prizes. And Tracy Hutchins joins us now with all the details. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, Lana, we are back at it again.
Yeah.
Third year, of course. This is our third time partnering with St. Jude. And while this campaign has some pretty incredible prizes, it's really all about the children. For 4-year-old Sita Patel, it has been a lifelong experience. Look at how cute she is. Just after she was born, though, her parents noticed one of her eyelids was droopy. After visits to doctors in Atlanta, where they live, Sita was referred to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Our just new parent intuition felt off, and so we ended up at St. Jude, and she was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
Sita underwent a successful surgery at 5 months old. She is still undergoing treatment today, but she is a thriving 4-year-old. Now, here's how you can help St. Jude and Be the next big winner. This year's dream home is incoming. It is the grand prize. Has 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a 2-car garage, plenty of amenities too. There's also $2,500 in airline gift cards you could win. Go anywhere in the world you want to. And a $3,000 getaway experience to use on a hotel stay, spa treatment, or dinner. A Visa gift card for $10,000, that could be yours. Use it on whatever you want. Or drive off in a 2025 Billy Howell Ford Maverick Hybrid XL. This is worth $28,000. Or this one, you could buy food for the entire family for nearly a year with a $5,000 grocery gift card. You are qualified to win all the prizes, but here is the linchpin. You have to get your $100 ticket on April 10th. Go ahead and scan the QR code right there on the screen or log on for details on atlantanewsfirst.com.
All right, Tracy, thanks. It always warms your heart seeing the little faces this fundraiser helps. And if you missed any of those details, you'll find it in our Atlanta News First app.
Now, First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez.
Watching this line of storms very closely. We're starting to see some weak rotation within some of these storms, mostly some strong gusty winds, very heavy rain, frequent lightning. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect right now until 12:45. This is for Carroll County, portions of southwest Douglas County. This does include northern portions of Coweta County and far southwestern portions of Fulton County. This is the severe thunderstorm right here, capable of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds, some small hail. We do turn the reflectivity on. That's what we watch for rotation. And we are seeing some very weak rotation, again, just southwest of Carroll County. Don't think this is a tornado, but when you start to see some weak rotation in the upper levels of the atmosphere, certainly a sign that in the future a tornado is possible. Of course, if that happens, we will let you know right away. But for right now, severe thunderstorm warning, Carroll County, South Fulton County, moving through Douglas County, heading towards Whitesburg here at 12:23, Douglasville at 12:41, Tyrone at 12:48, Fairburn 12:49, Union City at 12:52, then towards the Fayetteville area at 12:59. This is all associated with a large line of rain and storms that are moving east into the metro area. Severe weather will be possible. We are under a severe thunderstorm watch. We are watching closely. We'll keep you updated with another update just minutes away.
This live look is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan. With over 700 attorneys and 30 years experience, they are ready to fight for you. There is only one Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Alert weather day, brand new severe thunderstorm warning. This is just south of the previous warning. This is for portions of Troup County, Meriwether County, Coweta County, moving into Fayette County. This storm capable of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds and small hail. We're seeing a lot of lightning, very heavy rain with this line of storms as well. This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 1 p.m. as it moves east into the metro area, heading towards Hogansville at 12:21, Twin Mills Winery also at 12:21, Grantville at 12:23, Noonan at 12:27, Moreland at 12:30, Target at 12:30, the Target there in that area, Luthersville at 12:32, Sharpsburg at 12:38, then towards Peachtree City at 12:41. These storms, although we're not seeing any tornadoes right now, are capable of producing a quick spin-up tornado. So that's what we're watching for. Right now, though, what we are seeing is 60-mile-an-hour winds, small hail, very heavy rain, and frequent lightning. I do think these storms capable of knocking over some trees and power lines as they move east. And as we turn the lightning back on, you can see a lot of electricity with these storms. So if you are in this storm right now, you are hearing that thunder repeatedly. And that's really what we're seeing along the entire line that extends across much of West Georgia. Another warning we have, this one until 12:45. This is for Carroll County, northern portions of Coweta County, and even clips southwestern portions of Fulton County. This is the one we've been watching southwest of Carrollton in Carroll County that was demonstrating some weak rotation in the upper levels. This storm moving east towards Whitesburg at 12:22, Fairburn at 12:50, Union City at 12:53, College Park just after 1 o'clock, followed by East Point, Forest Park at 1:08, Atlanta 1:08, Midtown 1:10. So you're looking at the timing if you're wondering when are these storms going to impact Midtown Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, the areas inside the perimeter. It's going to be after 1 o'clock, so around 1:15, we'll see some of the strongest storms into the metro area. Lake City at 1:12, then towards Ansley Park at 1:12. This is a very potent system. It's been impacting much of the southeastern United States. In fact, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch for pretty much all of metro Atlanta and almost all of North Georgia until 7 p.m. as this line of very strong winds, lots of lightning, very heavy rain continues to move to the east. Right now, we do have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. Notice this further south one is fairly large. We tend to see that when these are fast-moving storms. And that is what these are. We're seeing these winds, these storms moving 40 to 50 miles an hour. So we want to issue these warnings. The National Weather Service wants to issue these warnings well ahead of the storms so that you are prepared when they arrive. And again, when you're talking about 60-mile-an-hour winds, you can see trees come down and power lines come down and damage as a result of these severe thunderstorms, which is why we want to give you as much headway as possible so you can get to your safe spot if needed. Right now, we're not seeing any tornadoes, but again, some strong damaging winds, lots of lightning, some small hail possible. And although not severe, notice that line extends well north of the warnings as well. We're seeing some strong storms moving through northern Carroll County into Paulding County, through the Dallas area. Some very heavy rain, frequent lightning as well. And it's this entire line that will be moving east. This is where we have the greatest threat of severe weather along the leading line of storms. Want to point out what we're seeing, what we call a very tight gradient. When you look at the green with the dark red, when you see those super close together, that's a good indicator for us as meteorologists to know that the winds are incredibly strong. So notice in western portions of Coweta County, moving through the Franklin area, Whitesburg here, notice how that dark red and that green are very close together. So certainly indicative of those strong, possibly damaging winds. We're seeing some very heavy rain as well, and all of that lightning. We were seeing some weak rotation earlier. JD, let's put the reflectivity on and see if we're seeing any kind of rotation at all. We were seeing it as this was moving through Carroll County here. So we're watching the storm, seeing a little bit possibly southwest of Whitesburg, not a whole lot right now. But again, this happens very quickly. That's what we tend to see with these storms that are prone to tornadoes. You see these form very, very quickly, which is why we'll continue to put it on this reflectivity, what we call the wind velocity, and we'll be checking for that. I am seeing a little bit of weak rotation southwest of Whitesburg, but nothing that's of any concern right now. Really, the biggest concern is going to be those strong winds of 60+ miles an hour that will be roaring through Carroll County, through Douglas County, South Fulton County, right now moving just east of Carrollton, Whitesburg, Whitesburg. I know it's getting very windy where you are right now. You're probably hearing all of that thunder. Things are going to get worse in Whitesburg before they get better. So certainly plan on a very loud and very windy next 15 minutes or so. This is moving to the east-northeast here. So Fairburn, a severe thunderstorm heading your way towards 1250. Union City at 1253. College Park, East Point just after 1 o'clock. And again, Atlanta, a lot of people in Atlanta, this is the lunch hour. So I do not want people out and about, running across the street, going to grab their lunch at 1:07 p.m. You want to be inside. Do not be outside. We're talking about strong damaging winds of 60 miles an hour, very, very heavy rain moving through the area. Possible severe thunderstorms moving through the Atlanta area around 1:07. And even if your area is not technically under a severe thunderstorm warning, these are very strong thunderstorms. These have had what we call special weather statements pretty much the entire way through West Georgia. So even before they were considered severe, they were still producing 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. So I don't want you to think if you're outside a warned area that these storms are weak. They are not weak for anybody as they travel through West Georgia. Moving through the Ansley Park area right around 108, Midtown also at 108, Morningside 110, Druid Hills 112, North Druid Hills 114. So again, we're talking about the heart of Metro Atlanta after 1 o'clock through about 1:30 as these storms are rolling in. Some hail certainly possible as well. We've been watching the development, a little bit of hail mainly in eastern Alabama. Haven't seen much of that across North Georgia, but certainly as these storms continue to intensify, it will be something we'll be watching for. We're also getting hotter and hotter as the daytime heating gets us hotter and hotter. We see those temperatures go up. We see that instability increasing as well. So although again, these haven't been terribly strong for the most part through the morning hours anyways. Now that we're in the afternoon, I am expecting these storms to intensify. So just because in East Alabama they weren't severe, as we're seeing now, does not mean they will not be severe for us here in Georgia. And we are expecting these storms to get stronger and stronger as they approach the metro area. 2 severe thunderstorm warnings right now. These are 4 storms that are considered severe, 60 mile an hour winds, possibly some small hail as these move east, and they do encompass a fairly large portion of the metro area. So Carroll County, Douglas County, southwestern Fulton County, and northern Coweta County. That warning is until 1:45. That's this northern warning that's moving through Carrollton. Then just south of that, an even bigger warning, and this is for the rest of Coweta County, moving through almost all of Fayette County and portions of Troup County. And again, that storm also capable of producing 60 mile an hour winds. But even north of that, JD, let's go a little north through Paulding County as we take you into Bartow County along I-75. Very heavy rain, lots of lightning as well. And again, these are not severe, but they're close to it. At a minimum, even north of those severe thunderstorm warnings, we're seeing storms capable of producing 40 mile an hour winds. And we actually have our road tracker that's moving into Bartow County. Are they getting into the thick of it? I'm speaking to my producer right now. Okay, so they are actually leaving Bartow County, moving south, heading back this way, but very heavy rain moving through that area. JD, I know we're in constant contact with the National Weather Service. Our eyes and ears. That way we have people all over the ground. Let me know what you're hearing. Are we getting any signs of any damage or anything like that from these severe thunderstorms? Or to JD. JD, are we getting anything from the chat or anything?
The tracker is at this moment, and we're seeing a little bit of lightning there. I was just looking behind the scenes on a different computer that we have at the temperatures across the area right now, because that's going to play a key role in exactly what we're going to be looking at in terms of severe weather later on today. Now, for folks who have already seen the rain move through, obviously cooler temperatures, so we're talking Rome like at 62 degrees. We're watching that temperature fall just a bit, but Atlanta's jumped up again. So last hour we were at 67, now we're at 69. Really the threshold we're going to be looking for today is that 70-degree mark, because once we hit 70 degrees, these storms are really going to be able to feed off the energy of the atmosphere and really start to get going. And, you know, we're already at 69 in LaGrange ahead of the storm, 69 in Atlanta. Just the last hour, Griffin and Thomaston have hit that 70-degree mark. So I think as we take a look at the radar behind me, in fact, there we go. The areas south of Atlanta that are not seeing a lot of storms right now, so the Griffin area, the Barnesville area, let me get my little pin on here so you can kind of see the areas that I'm talking about. This area here, so it is a rather large area, but McDonough, we're looking at Griffin, Barnesville, Eatonton, Covington, Rockdale and Newton counties down into Henry County as well, Spalding County. This is the area where as the storms move in, they're going to take advantage of that warmer air that's going to be sliding into the region at the same time. And I think we're going to continue to watch these storms intensify as we kind of hit into this particular region. Now, we've already kind of seen that a little bit. Remember, we didn't have a lot of warnings in Alabama as we went through the morning, but already we have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in our viewing area. Just to our south, we have another one that moved in just across from Auburn and Alabama. So we're continuously watching these storms starting to develop. And one of the ways that you can see that, and Jennifer was talking about this as well, is you can see, look how concentrated that lightning is over the Carroll County area as it's over towards Villa Rica and then down in towards the Whitesburg area. So that has slowly but surely been increasing as we've gone over the past hour or so. So it's not like it just jumped up out of nowhere. Typically when that happens, we'll see a very strong to severe storm develop. But even these moderately growing storms that are just, it's almost like the little engine that could, it's slowly but surely feeding off that energy and building on top of itself. And that's what we're seeing with these 2 particular storms. And I do want to give folks in Noonan a heads up because this severe thunderstorm is going to be knocking on your door very, very quickly. You notice that gradient Jennifer was talking about earlier, where we have the green going to the red, where we have those strong winds, is really knocking on the door of downtown Noonan right now. And will continue to move all across I-85 and then over towards Sharpsburg and Peachtree City as we go into the next hour or so. So I want to go ahead and kind of put that, just this one spot. So as it's heading over Noonan, it's moving about 50 miles an hour. So these storms are booking it. But that means Noonan, 1229, you got a minute and a half here. So it's pretty much on top of you. We're looking at Sharpsburg at 1240, Peachtree City, 1243. Same for Tyrone almost. Sonoy at 1247. Stars Mill at 1249 and Fayetteville at 1254. So, and again, I want to emphasize this storm is moving into that area that we just talked about over here in the Southwest Metro. This particular area with the warmer air, with the better dynamics at play. The other thing that we've been looking at behind the scenes here is, the actual energy itself. So it's a tool that we can look at. And for the most part, it has been extremely high. How much basically upward motion there is in the storm. You need that. You need lifting air for these storms to keep going. And there's a lot of it. And we're going to continue to watch that slide off towards the east. Now, I do want to kind of mention that we are starting to see some bowing segments here every once in a while. So you'll get a little curve here, little curve here. That's typically where we do see some of the stronger winds with these systems. So for folks in downtown Douglasville, you're not in the warning right now, but I guarantee you if you're along 78 there, Bankhead Highway, you're going to have some very strong storms that are going to be rolling through your area, at least some strong winds. The lightning itself still back out into the Villa Rica area, and we're continuing to watch that. And again, not surprising, because when you zoom in here, so this is going to be Highway 5 down towards the Alexander High School area, down towards Kings Road, Kings Highway. So this is where we have that green to yellow to red in the course of maybe 2 to 4 blocks. That's not very far. And that's indicative of some very strong winds that are going to be heading your way. And so for folks in Chapel Hills and Anawakey, down in towards the Fairplay area, all of this is going to be heading in your direction as we go into the next, 15 minutes or so. I mean, it's really kind of bearing down on top of you right now.
Yeah, and these are fast-moving storms. They are going to eventually, in the next 30 to 40 minutes, move into the Atlanta area. We are going to stay wall-to-wall with these storms on Peachtree TV. So if you are on Atlanta News First right now, watching us, we will continue to watch these on Peachtree TV. So make sure you stay with us if you want continuing coverage as these severe storms roll through the metro. Change the channel to Peachtree TV. Otherwise, on Atlanta News First, we're going to leave you with our regular programming. But no, we are constantly updating you on ANF Plus on Peachtree TV. And of course, we'll be here throughout the entire afternoon. And if there is a tornado warning, we'll let you know right away. You updated as severe storms continue to roll closer and closer through the metro area, eventually making their way into downtown, midtown, Buckhead, Piedmont Park area here in the next 30 to 40 minutes. Now, we are not under any kind of tornado warning, but as we continue through the afternoon, we'll get a little more unstable. That is a possibility. The tornado threat remains low. So it is a low threat of tornadoes. But what we are seeing right now, very heavy rain, frequent lightning, and the possibility of strong damaging winds with wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. And that is why we do have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings right now. They are mainly west of Metro Atlanta. We actually have 2 warnings. You see what we call polygons, these yellow polygons. This one that's a little further north that takes you into far southern portions of Fulton County, through Douglas County, especially south of I-20, moving through portions of Carroll County, northern Coweta County. This warning is in effect until 1:45 for the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds and some pea-sized hail. Also seeing some very, very heavy rain. Tons of lightning. If you are in Douglasville right now, it is very loud, booming lightning with very heavy rain. As this moves east, this is a storm that's going to move into Atlanta and Buckhead and Midtown and Ansley Park and Piedmont Park. Then south of that, the other yellow polygon, that is another severe thunderstorm warning. That is moving through portions of Coweta County. That is taking you into Fayette County and through the Grantville-Hogansville area. This storm also is severe with the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds and that pea-sized hail. Let's zoom in a little bit, JD, and then let's track that whole line here as it makes its way into the metro area, because these storms are booking it. They are moving incredibly fast to the east, about 40 to 50 miles an hour. So they're now approaching the Woodstock area, Kennesaw area, Marietta, Smyrna, Mableton. You're going to see this Douglasville. You're seeing some very heavy rain right now, some gusty winds. Tracking these storms for you, they are heading towards Palmetto at 1236, Sharpsburg at 1236, the Peachtree City at 1240, Tyrone 1241, Fairburn at 1243, then heading towards Union City at 1246, then Stars Mill High School. So if you are familiar or live around Stars Mill High School, kind of a big area that you would know about, around 1247, Fayetteville at 1251. So this is heading towards the metro area. It looks like right now the strongest storms are going to impact Atlanta and points south, and that's where we have the greatest instability as well. That's what we're watching for, the greatest threat of severe weather, although pretty much all of North Georgia under a threat of severe storms. I do want to take you to Max 1 because I do want to show you where we are under a severe thunderstorm watch, and I'm getting these alerts. So excuse me, I'm getting these alerts for any potential warnings that come on in, and it looks like we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. Let me get the latest on this one here. This one is for, it looks like they're extending that original warning. This does include DeKalb County, Fayette County, Douglas County, Coweta County, Clayton County, and Fulton County. This one is until 1:15. And again, it's those same threats we've been watching for, the potential of 60-mile-an-hour winds, possibly nickel-sized hail moving to the east at 45 miles an hour. So this is a very large warning. Look how much area this covers. That shows how fast these storms are moving. And now the heart of Atlanta included in this brand new warning until 1:15 does include Midtown, does include Atlanta, does include East Point, includes Hartsville, Jackson, Atlanta International. So we'll have to check, but I do think we'll see some kind of ground stop as these storms move through. If it's just rain and stormy weather, the flights still come in and take off. They just delay how often they take off and land, so we start to see delays. But when you have a severe thunderstorm moving over the airport, they actually have to halt air traffic altogether. That's when you see on FlightAware those planes circling around the airport away from the storms until it's safe to land. So I do expect some kind of ground stop at the airport, if not already, here in the next little while or so. This severe storm heading towards Palmetto at 1239, Fairburn at 1246, Union City at 1249, College Park at 1257, East Point at 1258, Riverdale at 1259, Atlanta. Again, we've been saying this, the Atlanta area just after about 1 o'clock, and these are now severe for the Atlanta area. So we're talking about 60-mile-an-hour winds through the heart of Atlanta. Then towards Forest Park at 103, Murrow at 105, Lake City at 106, as these storms continue to move very quickly to the east. And I heard another, tornado warning for Coweta County. JD, let's go straight to that tornado warning. And that is why we are live on the air. Jason, let's make sure we are in Atlanta News First as well, as we have a brand new tornado warning. Let's get the latest on this information. This is just east of Noonan. This is the rotation we've been watching in Coweta County. This is just east of Noonan and Noonan High School. We're seeing the rotation right here. We've been talking about these storms, how once they start demonstrating signs of rotation, we watch them very closely because they tend to rotate once again. So right now we do have a tornado warning in place just east of the city of Noonan, just east of Noonan High School, and this is traveling very quickly to the east here. So we are watching a potential tornado. This is a radar indicated tornado. They're what we call rain wrapped. It's raining very heavily in this thunderstorm, so it's going to be very difficult to physically see a tornado, which is why we rely heavily on radar for this. This is for Coweta County, moving into Fayette County, a tornado warning heading towards the Sharpsburg area and the Peachtree City area. So when you have a tornado warning, this is when you need to get to your safe spot. Interior room, lowest level of your home, away from any windows. Tornado warning, get into your safe spot now. If you are in Coweta County, portions of Fayette County, tornado warning for your area, heading towards Peachtree City at 12:45, then towards Fayetteville at 12:57. Radar indicated here east of Noonan, still seeing that rotation within the radar. We're going to continue to dissect this. We're going to stay on air with you, of course, as this tornado warning continues east of Noonan and Noonan High School. This is very close to East Coweta High School. So get your bearings. That's why we go so deep down into street level mapping, so we can show you exactly where this possible tornado is located. If you are in one of these cities I'm about to name, or you have friends and family in these cities, you need to take them to get to cover immediately, lowest level of their home, and a basement if possible. Briarwood, Country Manor, Cannon Gate Acres, Creekwood, Long Street, Wood Valley Estates, Oak Ridge, East Coweta High School. I'm sure the kids at East Coweta High School in their tornado drill right now. Circle H Estates, possible tornado heading your way within the next couple of minutes. Then we get a little further east. We'll be watching if this tornado remains, but these are the areas that need to start getting in their safe spot as well. Stony Brook Plantation, Parkway Estates, Greers Mountain, Cobblestone Creek, Edgewater, Groveland, Belgrove, Clover, Peachtree City. Take cover immediately. Possible tornado is heading your direction. We are under a tornado warning for possible tornado. At a minimum, we're seeing 60-mile-an-hour winds, but we're also seeing very heavy rain and frequent cloud to ground lightning. And I'm going to step here away so we can get a good clip here of what this is including. This is including Coweta County, Fayette County. Looks like it's including portions of Clayton County as well, the Jonesboro area, you're included in this tornado warning. And again, anyone in a tornado warning, if you just received an alert on the First Alert Weather app, you need to get into your safe spot immediately. Possible tornado is on the ground. We're still seeing some rotation here. It's not as well defined as it was when the warning was issued, so that's a good sign. But again, with these storms, we see rotation, we see it lift up, and we easily see it come back down. So certainly something we'll be watching. Still seeing some rotation with this storm, although not as well defined, which tends to show us signs of weakening. But again, it's something we'll continue to watch very closely. Still seeing at least some rotation, whether it be in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but just enough that you need to stay in that safe spot until it's safe to come out. Peachtree City, Sharpsburg, it's really just north of Sharpsburg, just west of Peachtree City, heading towards the Peachtree City area, and then eventually towards Fayette County. Fayette County, you are included in this tornado warning as well. That will continue until the threat is over. Now we are watching the debris detector. This is what we put on when we get a tornado warning to see if we're getting any signs of debris, whether it be shingles, tree limbs, anything that a damaging storm such as a tornado would produce. And this is a good sign. We're not seeing any debris up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So this also consistent with what I'm seeing on the rotation there, and that it does look like this appears to be weakening, but certainly something we'll continue to watch closely with this tornado warning. We've got First Alert meteorologist J.D. Disher, and J.D., you're watching. Are you getting any reports of damage or anything like that?
We're not at the moment. One of the things, though, that we are kind of keeping in mind, though, so the weather radar that we use and that we're looking at right now comes from Peachtree City. So the closer you get to that radar, unfortunately, the lower accuracy, with lack of a better word, you're going to get, because the radar can't pick up things that are extremely close to it. So as the storm goes over the Peachtree City area, I do want to mention that Jen said this rotation looks like it's weakening, and it does look like it's weakening, but we do need to pay attention to it, because part of that, though, may be just the fact that the cell is itself getting very close to the radar, and that radar beam is not able to pick up that level of rotation because it's just so close. So basically, the radar is pointing up into the air, so the farther away you go, the higher it is. Well, the closer to the radar it is, it's pretty much ground level at that point, and that's why a lot of the times when you get within 5-6 miles of a radar center, you just don't get a lot of data in from that particular area. And that may be one of the reasons that we're seeing you notice that we don't have a lot of reds and greens, particularly around Peachtree City right now. So that's one thing that we're going to keep an eye on. The other thing we're going to keep an eye on is the lightning with this particular cell, because it is slowly starting to go up, much like we saw earlier with that cell that was now going through Douglas County. Now this particular one going through Coweta County, about to move into Fayette County, and then over in towards Clayton County. A lot of lightning with this. And whenever you get the lightning coming around the rotation area, a lot of times that can indicate that there's still something going on in the atmosphere. That rotation is still trying to get something going. Even if it's not all the way down to the surface, it's a good indication that up into the mid-levels of the atmosphere that we are still seeing a little bit of rotation. That's what you need for a tornado. You need rotation throughout, the whole entire storm structure. So, that's one of the things that we're going to be keeping an eye on, especially as it gets towards the Peachtree City area. Regardless, if you are in Peachtree City, Fayetteville, Jonesboro, go ahead and start finding your safe place. I'm going to have to zoom out a lot on this particular one because it's moving so fast. So whenever we try and time these out, it's based on the speed of the storm. So you notice that starts to slide out. So as we zoom out here, 55 miles an hour, if it holds together. And honestly, on a day like today, I don't really see rotation lasting longer than a half hour on these. But still, Peachtree City, you're looking at 4 minutes from now. We're looking at 12:56 in Fayetteville. I'm going to move this up so it's not behind the banner. Apologies about that. Lovejoy, 104. McDonough, you're looking at 115. Porterdale, 134. If it holds together, we're looking at 136 in Covington. But keep in mind, those areas that are outside the warning, even if the rotation isn't ongoing, we are still going to be looking at a very strong thunderstorm coming your way regardless. So it's best to go ahead and have that severe weather plan ready to enact, ready to go. Because again, these areas in Henry County, over into Newton County, Rockdale County, you're not in the warning right now, and you may not be, depending if they extend it or not in terms of the tornado warning. But either way, when you look at the reflectivity, basically the radar and how much rain there is and how much lightning there is, regardless, there is a strong to severe thunderstorm that is going to be heading in your direction. And for folks in Atlanta, I want to emphasize again, you are also under a severe thunderstorm warning. So this pretty much goes from the Brookwood interchange all the way down the connector and then back down towards Jonesboro. So anywhere in that area and to the west is looking at the potential for 60-mile-an-hour winds. But again, let's go ahead. This is kind of the main show here with the red flashing, polygon, the warning, so to speak. This is our tornado warning, and this is where we are seeing some weakening signs of rotation, which is very good. But at the same time, and I've got another radar source that I'm looking at. That's why you see me kind of looking down. The rotation, the weak rotation itself is literally almost on top of the radar site as we speak down there at Falcon Field in Peachtree City. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and how it looks when it comes out on the other side of it, because the best way to think about this is when the storm is going directly over the radar, it's almost like an eclipse. You can't really see anything while it's directly on top of it. But just like when the moon starts to uncover from the sun, you'll slowly start to get that better resolution, that better data back in on the other side of it. And that's exactly what we're going to be seeing as we go in towards the next 15, maybe 5 to 10 minutes or so. Regardless, Peachtree City, Tyrone, Fayetteville, Lovejoy, Jonesboro, get to your safe spots now. You are under a tornado warning, and this is a very quick moving system, Jennifer, moving to the east, a little northern tint, 55 miles an hour.
And I was just communicating with the National Weather Service to get the latest on this. And it does look like, again, this was a radar indicated tornado, but they had enough data coming in that it does look like there could have been a very weak, short-lived tornado in Coweta County near the area of Thomas Crossroads. So that's what we'll be watching for if there was any damage as a result of that. But certainly something we'll keep an eye on. And again, once we see these storms develop a tornado, they can lift up, they can just as easily come back down. So the fact that we've already had that happen, certainly something will be, and it looks like a brand new tornado warning, they extended it here. So yes, as I was saying, once you have one tornado warning, possible tornado on the ground, they're gonna extend that and continue to issue that. So this new polygon is a little larger. It does include Henry County, portions of Rockdale County. Let's zoom out just a little bit here, JD, so we can see. So it looks like I see it's just southwest of Conyers. So we've got portions of Rockdale County. We've got perhaps far southern portions of DeKalb County. A chunk of Fulton County is included in this warning, just south of 285 here. So this is just south of the airport, but it does include the city of McDonough in Henry County. It does include Jonesboro. It does include Fayette County, the city of Fayetteville. So this is extending. You see where that first tornado warning ended, and then they extended it further. So this storm still showing enough possible rotation that this warning needed to be extended. And again, as JD pointed out, our radar beam is coming out of Peachtree City. So you're shooting a radar beam out in the sky, but if the storm is directly over you, it's very difficult to see those signs of rotation the closer you get to the radar beam. So we'll be watching this very closely here, but it does look like near Thomas Crossroads, that is when we look back at the previous scans of the radar, when we possibly had a tornado on the ground, it did look like it was a very weak, short-lived tornado, but certainly could still be on the ground. It's very difficult to tell so close to the radar beam, especially when the tornado would be what we call rain-wrapped, basically wrapped in rain. Very, very difficult to see, but I'm sure either way you would hear it. You're hearing very heavy rain, lots of thunder, but possibly tornado as well. So tornado warnings in place right now. We actually have two, but they're for the same area. Possible rotation, excuse me, this is near Tyrone and Peachtree City,
Jennifer,
and almost moving just east of Peachtree City. Yes, JD.
We're getting word from the National Weather Service that second warning was issued in error. It was supposed to be an update to the first warning. The counties of Rockdale, Henry, and DeKalb can disregard this warning. They did not mean to issue it for the area. This was just supposed to be an update for that initial tornado warning. So that's some good information for our folks at home to know. They also are saying that the rotation is diminishing, and they do expect both warnings to be canceled within a few minutes.
Perfect. And that is good. And again, that's what we're looking at when we look at the radar. That's why we keep looking at the radar and we look at the rotation here, because it's very important to see if we still have an active tornado on the ground or if it's weakening. Right now looks a little spotty at best. Still seeing some weak rotation, I think perhaps probably in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but we're not seeing that well-defined rotation we did earlier when this was in Coweta County. Again, when this was a possible radar-detected tornado moving through Coweta County. So you do notice that larger polygon. As JD said, it's going to take a little minute for it to disappear here off our first alert radar, but it will. We still have that one tornado warning that does include Peachtree City, Tyrone, and Fayetteville, but that is set to expire here shortly, especially since we're no longer seeing any possible rotation with that storm. At a minimum, we're still seeing 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We're seeing some pea-sized, even up to nickel-sized hail within these severe thunderstorms. And we do have that severe thunderstorm warning that does extend all the way into Atlanta, including the airport. We do have a ground stop right now at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. That's exactly what I was expecting. Yes, planes can take off and land with rain, perhaps some gusty winds, but once you're talking about a severe thunderstorm capable of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds, it is not safe to land or take off during a severe thunderstorm. So the airport is going to wait for this severe storm to cross over before they resume flights. For now, all those planes are probably circling in the sky away from the airport. When it's safe to land, they will. Keep in mind, if you do have a flight later today, there is a bit of a domino effect. It takes a while for things to catch up, so most likely the airport will continue to see delays throughout the afternoon hours. Tornado warning still in place here. Coweta County moving into Fayette County and portions of Clayton County. That is an active tornado warning. Again, if you're just now joining us, this second tornado warning, you see that extends into Henry and DeKalb and Fulton counties. That was made in error from the National Weather Service. That will soon come off our map. You are not in a tornado warning, but if you are in Coweta, if you are in Fayette and portions of Clayton County, you do need to be in your safe spot right now for a possible tornado. This storm does have a history of possibly producing a tornado. We're going to send some crews to see if we see any damage over the area. If we did see a tornado, it was a weak, short-lived tornado, which is what we're expecting with some of the tornadoes. If we see any today, they will be weak and short-lived, but it will be a possibility throughout the afternoon as a very potent system that's been impacting much of the southeast continues to roar through our area. Very heavy rain. The only good news with all this rain is it's going to wash away all that disgusting pollen that's pretty much on everything. So it is going to do that. That's the good news with the rain. Certainly, of course, we don't want the severe weather, the 60-mile-an-hour winds, the hail, or the possible tornadoes. But in March, now almost April, it comes with the territory. So certainly something we'll be watching closely for. There it is over Peachtree City, still have an active tornado warning. This does include the city of Peachtree City, does include Tyrone, does include Fayetteville into Jonesboro, and then it ends just before Lovejoy for possible tornado. Very heavy rain, 60-mile-an-hour winds with this storm as it continues to travel to the east. JD, I know you're looking for updates. We're still waiting for them to remove this second tornado warning, which was made in error. So again, if you are in DeKalb County, if you are in Henry County, I know all of your devices were alerted. You have sirens going off. That was a warning that was meant to update the original warning and was made in error here. So you do not have to be in your safe spot yet. Of course, if that changes, we'll let you know right away. But right now, 60-mile-an-hour winds really the biggest concern. Possible tornado as well, moving through portions of Coweta County into Clayton County and Fayette County. Getting a lot of alerts here. So JD, let's see what's coming in. Do we have any new warnings?
So far what they've done is obviously the secondary warning you saw just now dropped off your screen, that one that was made in error. But what they did do is they issued a severe thunderstorm warning for that particular area. So for folks over into Rockdale County, Newton County, this includes Conyers, Covington, back into Henry County with McDonough, and then Locust Grove, Spalding County with Griffin. You are looking at a severe thunderstorm warning for the potential of damaging straight line winds up to about 60 miles an hour. And that's all with this particular line here as it continues to slide off towards the northeast. About 50, I'm going to go a little bit slower here, 45 miles an hour for the day. So for folks in Fayetteville, you're looking at, well, it's on top of you. Woolsey, we're looking at 1256, Lovejoy 103, Jonesboro 104, and eventually making its way to Hampton at 106, Stockbridge 113, McDonough at 116, Locust Grove 122, and Covington at 141. So remember earlier I was saying, even though they may not extend that severe or the tornado warning over in towards Rockdale and Newton counties, they did extend that severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, and just speaking with the National Weather Service, they are canceling that tornado warning. So although technically this is still in effect, they are putting it into the system. It's going to take a few minutes before it gets outdated to your cell phones, your devices, and of course to our first alert radar here. But they are canceling this tornado warning. We are no longer seeing rotation within this storm, but it is still producing some strong gusty winds. We're also seeing very heavy rain, lots of lightning. And as you can see, because of the danger associated with this part of the storm, we have that severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued and extended. And this covers a very large portion of the South Metro. This extends into Rockdale County. This moves into Covington, much of Henry County. In fact, except for the far northern fringe of Henry County, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Spalding County, north of Griffin, heading into Jackson, Butts County, you're in that severe thunderstorm warning as well. So if you are in this severe thunderstorm warning, that means you are going to see the possibility of strong damaging winds of 60 miles an hour and nickel-sized hail. Even here in Midtown, there we go, JD. We're not saying just as we approach the 1 o'clock hour, we can hear it here. We are in Midtown Atlanta right now. We are very close to Georgia Tech and IKEA. If you have students who are at Georgia Tech, if you have students at Georgia State, make sure you text your sons, your daughters, and let them know that there is a very strong thunderstorm approaching. Now is not the time to get out on your lunch break and go get lunch. pouring down rain right now over Midtown, over Centennial Olympic Park, over Northside Park, over Brookwood. Very, very heavy rain along the heart of the downtown connector. This is why Hartsville-Jackson Atlanta International issued that ground stop. This is the storm that was approaching, and they want to make sure nobody is taking off or landing as these severe storms roll through the area. If you are west of Midtown, inside the perimeter, very heavy rain, and it's going to be this leading edge where we're going to see the highest risk of severe weather and the strongest winds. So right now, the Vinings area through Smyrna, but approaching Buckhead. So crossing from Truist Park and the Braves Stadium. This is moving over the Cumberland Mall, the Costco there at the Cumberland Mall, and this is moving east. So this is starting to approach the Vinings area. This is starting to approach the Chattahoochee River. This is moving east into East Conway Hill, Chastain Park, west portions of Buckhead. Lots of private schools in that area, Lovett School in that area. This is approaching your area. Very strong gusty winds, very heavy rain, lots of lightning as well. As this is moving east, this is going to go near Brandon Elementary School. This is going to approach your area shortly here. Again, we're not seeing any tornadoes with this, but we're seeing the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds, very heavy rain, lots of lightning as this moves east towards Georgia 400. So this is Georgia 400 right here inside the perimeter. Then you're heading west. This is Chastain Park, East Conway Mill. Sutton Middle School is in this area. You've got the big pool at Chastain Park in that area, the horse park near Chastain Park in that area, then extending south into Buckhead, where of course we have Lenox and Phipps. So you're going to see very heavy rain approaching your area. This is that leading edge. And again, we talk about that very tight gradient where you have those dark reds and purples very close to the green. That is where you have some of the strongest winds possible. The severe thunderstorm is actually just south of those areas I was showing you, but I wanted to point it out because that's a very highly populated area in the heart of the day when many of you are running out to grab lunch quickly. Do not do it. Stay put until these storms move in because very heavy rain associated with this. So when you see those dark reds, that's some of the heavier rain. It is pouring down rain where we have a ground stop at the airport. Let's take this camera. I want to show you what this looks like visually because on the radar, I know what this looks like, but when you see it visually, it kind of gives you a better idea. This is a camera we have at Hartsville-Jackson Atlanta International. And try to focus on those raindrops in the foreground. You can see how large and juicy those raindrops are. This is very heavy rain that we're going to see in a short period of time. Thankfully, this is moving very quickly, which is good because when you have very heavy rain like this moving through your area, and it's moving slowly, that's when you start to worry about flash flooding and flooding. I do think because this rain is so heavy, we are going to see some ponding on the roadways, maybe some of those usual spots that tend to see puddling. We're going to see that on the roadways through Metro Atlanta. But because this is moving quickly, I'm not worried about any big issues with any flooding from this system. But of course, if this rain continues longer than expected, that will be a concern. As you can see, those planes not moving. It is a ground stop right now at Hartsville-Jackson Atlanta International, where we do have that severe thunderstorm warning in place from East Point, College Park into Forest Park, towards Cook's Crossing, Brandy Chase, Brittany Forest, Old National East, Pleasant Hill, Castle Grove, Castle Gate. You are under a severe thunderstorm warning right now for 60-mile-an-hour winds, possibly some nickel-sized hail, and this is just roaring through the heart of Atlanta. So make sure everyone is aware severe thunderstorms are rolling through, especially south of the city, where some of the strongest storms are located. Now, I do notice, JD, this is still blinking. The National Weather Service did say they're going to remove that warning. It's still there. Are you getting any updates on that?
Yeah, it is removed. They're having an issue with their system. So
Okay.
they have had quite a few folks ask that question because it is still popping up. But the exact words from the National Weather Service are, we canceled the warning, but one was set to expire instead of canceled, so it should be out of the system in 2 minutes when the original warning, well, now about 30 seconds to the top of the hour. So I think that warning, even though it's no longer in effect, will finally come off the screen once we get to exactly 1 o'clock. But, I mean, this is still a dangerous system. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect ahead of that system all the way out and through Covington.
And we're going to stay on the air, JD, on Peachtree TV. We are going to go back to your regular programming on Atlanta News First. If you want to stay with JD and I, we're going to continue to dissect these storms the entire way as they roll through the metro. Change the channel to Peachtree TV or Atlanta News First Plus. We are going to keep you up to date. But for now on CBS, we'll resume regular programming. And thank you so much for staying with us on Peachtree TV. We're going to continue to stay on with you until you are safe. Severe thunderstorm warning in place. This does encompass much of the metro area. This is basically South Metro Atlanta. This includes Fayette County. This does include Henry County, Rockdale County, moving into the Covington area through Butts County, Spalding County. You are in the severe thunderstorm warning. At one point, this is the same storm that possibly produced a very short-lived weak tornado. Again, we'll have to go see if there was any damage or confirm if that was the case, but we certainly did see enough indicators on radar that it is possible we had a weak short-lived tornado through Coweta County. Now it is just a severe thunderstorm warning for the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds, very heavy rain, lots of lightning. Keep in mind, 60-mile-an-hour winds, you still get trees coming down. You still get power lines coming down. You still get damage. So you don't necessarily need a tornado in order to see damage. So it doesn't mean you're out of the woods. Yes, we are not under a tornado warning, but certainly a severe thunderstorm will be possible as these storms continue to roar to the east here through Henry County, Rockdale County, moving through portions of Spalding County for this severe thunderstorm warning, which remains in place as very heavy rain, lots of lightning moves through. It's going to be that initial burst as these storms move into your area where the strongest winds are located. So that's where we'll see that potential of those 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We're seeing that through Riverdale, through Forest Park, moving through East Point, Atlanta right now, Midtown, Buckhead area, very heavy rain, some strong gusty winds over the area. And this is happening over the lunch hour. So certainly when a lot of people want to get out, they have their break, they want to grab a bite to eat, they want a sandwich. I get it. I'm hungry too. But stay put until the severe weather risk is over. You just don't want to be driving in 60-mile-an-hour winds and pouring down rain. Visibility is extremely poor. You only want to do things like that when it's safe to do so. So again, although not under a tornado warning, I don't advise that you go out and about right now until this threat does come to an end. I will say this is a very fast-moving storm. So we have that. That's a positive. Sometimes you get these storms that are very strong and severe and they sit over your area for an extended period of time. That creates even more problems. So at least this is moving quickly to the east, but it is moving over the heart of Atlanta where we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. Atlanta, you are included in that severe thunderstorm warning. East Point through Forest Park, Riverdale into Stockbridge, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning for the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds, very heavy rain. And even north of that, JD, let's just go a little further north because this looks nasty. I would not be surprised if they issue a warning for this storm, especially where you start to see these pinks. Well, that is indicative of hail.
And we have gotten reports from the Woodstock area that they did have dime to nickel-sized hail, which does not hit severe criteria, which is why a warning wasn't issued, but obviously still a nuisance and can cause some minor damages as well. So yes, where we see these pinks at, so we're talking north of Sandy Springs, just to the northeast of the Atlanta Country Club, east of Dunwoody, this is where we do have that potential for some dime to nickel-sized hail. That is just below the severe limits. And with that pink getting a little bit darker there, it's really about to cross Georgia 400 right now. In the Dunwoody area, it's right on top of North Springs High School in north of Sandy Springs towards the Roswell Road area. This is where we do have that potential for some very annoying hail and almost severe sized hail going from Roswell Road all the way over towards Georgia 400, about to enter the extreme northern part of DeKalb County over towards the Whitmere area, and then pushing up a little bit towards Rivergate and Centennial High School in Fulton County. So, and that's a really good point that Jen made, is just because we don't have warnings for your particular area, this entire line has the potential for these storms to begin to flare up and for us to see not only the potential for some large hail, but also, as we saw down in towards Coweta County, an isolated tornado, and then very heavy rains. Because even though this line is the severe line, look at how much moisture is behind this. It still extends all the way back out to the Georgia-Alabama state line. And we have seen earlier today flash flood warnings in Alabama. A few of those could be issued for our area as well. So it's just something to kind of keep an eye on as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon. But overall, I wouldn't be surprised, just due to the uptick in lightning with this particular cell in northern Fulton County moving in towards northern DeKalb and far western Gwinnett, if we do start to see maybe a warning issued in the next 15 to 30 minutes, only because the lightning has begun to tick up. It's moving into a much warmer air mass. So all the ingredients are coming together there for some slow and steady strengthening for this storm as it continues to push off. So even though it doesn't have a warning, let's go ahead and time this out. Most of these storms have been moving at about 45 miles an hour. So as we push it off towards the northeast, this is going to be heading towards Chamblee at 107, Doraville 108, Norcross 113, Tucker 115, Johns Creek at 115, and then as we get towards Lilburn 120, Suwannee 125, and Lawrenceville towards 130. So, that just goes to show you, again, we don't need the warning for us to see some hail, some very strong winds, and also some torrential rain with frequent cloud-to-ground lightning. So all of those things are going on, and it's really that uptick in lightning in this particular area that is, I'm not going to say it's making me very concerned, but my concern is slowly growing as this particular cell is, because we are starting to see those pinks filter in. We saw this in Carroll County earlier today. With that line of storms right before the warning was issued, we kept seeing more and more little pink areas becoming more evident, and that's what we're seeing for folks up into that little notch here in Fulton County. Also seeing it towards the Brookhaven area, so maybe some light hail from the Brookhaven area over towards the Capital City Club. Let's get some roads in here. Kingsborough Road, also Peachtree Road as it continues to move through Brookhaven, Osborne Road, Mabry Road. All of these areas could be seeing some very light hail, and then also down near I-85 into the North Druid Hills area. So for folks who are going to be over near La Vista and then over towards North Druid Hill Rose itself, could see some hail in that particular area, and then also down towards North Decatur. So again, it's these little areas where we're starting to see these pinks filter up just a bit. That's where we're concerned with the potential for this line of storms to strengthen as we go into the rest of the afternoon. Jen?
Yeah, and it looks like we are going to get on Atlanta News First. Again, we were watching some possible rotation, so let's put on the rotation detector here in South Clayton County. This is an area we're watching. The National Weather Service is toying with the idea of a possible tornado warning in far southern portions of Clayton County. So that is why we are with you. These storms very capable of producing what we call a quick spin-up tornado. It happens very quickly. So that is why we keep interrupting programming. That is why we are with you basically every step of the way. Our main concern is keeping you and your family safe. We do not want to interrupt programming unless we have to, but we start to see these little signs of rotation within these storms. We get concerned enough that we just want to make sure you are safe and you are secure. We're looking right now and not seeing anything too convincing right now across the area. Again, where we were watching was far southern portions of Clayton County. And right now things look like they are behaving, but we do have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in place. And just be aware, even if you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, be aware that there could be possibly a quick spin up at any given time. We've got the debris detector turned on right now, watching for possible debris. Not seeing much. Again, with these 60-mile-an-hour winds, you are going to see some trees possibly coming down. It does get the leaves off the trees, maybe some smaller limbs or branches. Those tend to fly around as well. So even without a tornado, you'll tend to see some debris in the air, but certainly something we'll be watching for possible debris. Now, south of Jonesboro, yes.
So this is, this has gone back in time now. So it's 108 right now. This was the radar at 101. This is what the National Weather Service was talking about with their little bit of rotation there. And you can see there's just a little bit of a dropout. Very faint, but as you take that off, it does kind of line up just a little bit with the rotation that was kind of moving through the area. So it is very weak. It is not confirmed by any means, but that is what they were looking for. And that's one of the reasons that we do use that debris tracker, is because when you put it together with other radar products like the wind and then also the reflectivity, it can kind of give you an idea of what's going on. But you notice as we kind of put the map into motion here, so remember that was 101, it was about 8 minutes ago. When you put it forward in time, there's really nothing there at this point, so that is some good news. So whatever was there looks like it has kind of fizzled out. And really, when you see, obviously this long line of yellow right here, that's usually a good indication. Yes, there are some areas of red and green together for some very broad rotation that are kind of going on. But overall, this particular threat right now looks to be like a damaging straight line wind threat. However, what we will look for in this particular spot here in Henry County, over near Dutchtown High School, is when we do have that little kind of curve inward like that, that's usually an indication that we're seeing some air rush into the storm, and we can get a little bit of rotation to spin up out of that. So even though we don't have a warning, these are the small little nuances that Jennifer and I are looking for in the radar to kind of help pick out where we think the rotation could spin up. So for folks in Henry County, north of McDonough, over towards, as we just mentioned, the Flippin area, over towards Brandon, Miller's Mill, Dutchtown High School, Chambers Road area, Mill Road area. This is where we're seeing maybe a little bit of some weak rotation trying to get its act together in the overall, line. And particularly when you have little tornadoes and little rotations spin up in this type of system, i.e. a line that's pushing through, they're usually very short-lived, maybe 5 to 10 minutes long. So that's kind of another thing that makes them a little harder to find and also a little harder to spot, because a lot of times by the time we get the radar data in, sometimes these tornadoes have already spun up and they've already spun down, much like the one we think may have happened over in Coweta County earlier today did.
Let's go back to Henry County. Let's zoom in. Let's put on the velocity here near Flippin, because that, again, this is the area we're watching. Again, this is not a tornado warning, but we are starting to see some possible rotation within Henry County. So I just want to stay on this, because what happens, you'll see with each radar beam, we'll get an update and we'll see if this is weakening or intensifying. So that's what we'll be watching for. I will say that with any possible rotation we've seen thus far this afternoon, they've all been very weak and short-lived. So what we'll see is possible rotation, and then within the next 2 or 3 scans, it's pretty much over. So I just want to make sure that's the case with this one and that this is not intensifying. But either way, if you are in Flippin, near Brandon, Julia, this is just north of McDonough, we are watching some signs of possible weak rotation in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Again, this is not a tornado warning, but at a minimum, you're going to see very strong gusty winds, possibly of 60-mile-an-hour winds as this moves through Henry County, northwest of the McDonough area towards Flippin. Again, we're watching some possible rotation. This is near Highway 42 North, and it's something we'll keep an eye on. Right now, not getting enough evidence that this is a tornado, but at a minimum, we are seeing a few signs that point to possible rotation heading towards Brandon Road, North Salem Drive, near Highway 155 North. Again, this is just south of the Brandon area near Flippin. This is near Chestnut Lake Estates, just to the south and east. So it has now exited Chestnut Lake Estates, and it is approaching areas just northwest of McDonough, between Stockbridge and McDonough. Again, we're watching this area right here, trying to see if this is trying to get its act together or if this is going to behave and kind of stay status quo with 60-mile-an-hour winds, which is still incredibly strong thunderstorm. But again, certainly something we'll be watching for as this continues to cross through portions of Henry County. And again, with each scan, we're still seeing a tiny little bit of rotation. This is not a lot by any means, but we are at least starting to see these storms. They're trying to spin up. They're trying to do something with the instability we have in the atmosphere. So we'll keep an eye on this again in Henry County. It's all part of a very large severe thunderstorm warning we have in place across much of the metro. The strongest storms are south of Atlanta, but again, even north of Atlanta, these are very strong storms. These are still producing 40-mile-an-hour winds, possibly some hail, moving through Cumming, Forsyth County, through Sugar Hill and Gwinnett County, Johns Creek, Dunwoody, Sandy Springs, very heavy rain that way near a North Point Mall, very heavy downpours crossing into Peachtree Corners near Gwinnett County, very heavy rain, near Norcross, very heavy rain, lots of lightning. And again, we see these pinks. That's indicative of some small hail moving through the area, some strong gusty winds as well. So this is moving through North Fulton County, and this is now moving east into Gwinnett County. So I know Gwinnett, you're probably seeing the winds really start to pick up. You're hearing that thunder. It's only going to get worse here before it gets better. So again, even if it's your lunch hour, stay indoors until these storms pass. They are fast moving, so this is not going to be an extended afternoon where you're going to have to stay huddled inside, but certainly until the threat passes, you need to stay indoors. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, again, mainly south of the metro, but even the northern metro through Alpharetta, seeing some very heavy rain, but it's these moving through Henry County, through portions of Clayton County, through Fayette County, through Spalding County, moving into Butts County. That is where we have a severe thunderstorm warning in place that moves into Rockdale County as well. Right along the interstate here through McDonough and Henry County, very heavy rain, lots of lightning. These storms capable of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds. We're seeing frequent cloud-to-ground lightning, Certainly ponding on the roads will be a problem with some of these storms as well as they continue to move east. City of McDonough, things
Look how
going
tight that
downhill.
gradient is.
So tight. And again, this is just one of the things we talk about, especially when you see pink, which is basically, here's your scale right here. Pink is almost as bright as it gets. Green is very light rain. So when you see these very, very dark colors and these greens super close together, yeah, we're a mile apart. That shows things just go down quickly. Tells
tornado
us
warning.
that brand new tornado warning. So let's get to this tornado warning. And again, this is why we're staying on the air with you, because these storms, and this is the same probably storm we've been watching that we just flipping. So remember, we were watching this over flipping. This is that same cell we were watching with possible rotation. Brand new tornado warning over the city of Brannan, near Miller's Mill, near Julia and Kellytown. Take cover immediately. You are under a tornado warning. This is a radar indicated tornado warning. And this is a cell we've been watching, has a history of producing rotation. We've been watching this as it moved through the Flippin area, now approaching the Brannan areas. This is moving to the northeast. So we're going to go to street level mapping. We have all these abilities on First Alert radar, so we can tell you precisely where this possible tornado is. Union Grove High School. Union Grove High School, you are under a tornado warning. Possible tornado looks like it is just north of your area. Again, Union Grove High School, possible rotation just north near Highway 155, moving through the Brannan area, heading to the northeast very quickly towards Elliott Road, towards Miller's Mill, towards White House. Let's put a tracker on this, JD, so we can make
zoom out
sure
real quick, 'cause it's a
everyone
quick
gets to
mover.
their safe spot. Very fast moving storm. It was over the high school and already moving north of the high school very quickly.
Yeah,
This
moving
to the
northeast at
northeast.
60.
There we go. This is flying towards the Covington area. So we're going to track this. We have to zoom out so that we can track this precisely for you. Again, tornado warning in place. This does include Henry County, Rockdale County. This is heading towards Porterdale at 130, Oxford 131, Covington 132, Good Hope 150, then towards Bostwick at 153, North High Shoals 157, Watkinsville at 203, Arnoldsville at 214. We do have a tornado warning. And again, this is a cell we were watching just minutes ago that had very weak rotation, and it has come together here, showing some more signs of rotation as this moves very quickly to the northeast at 60 miles an hour. This does include Henry County into Rockdale County. You are in this tornado warning as this moves quickly to the northeast near the Kellytown area, near Miller's Mill, near Julia. Again, we're watching this area. We look for these dark reds and these greens, and it looks like they're almost hugging each other. That shows us a radar indicated tornado. Basically, the radar is showing we've got very strong winds going towards the radar beam, very strong winds very close to that coming away from the radar beam. And when you have that happening, that is basically rotation, i.e. a tornado. That's what we're seeing right now. Possible tornado on the ground in Henry County, approaching Kellytown. This is moving at 60 miles an hour. Kellytown, you've got a minute tops. Get to your safe spot now. What is your safe spot? Lowest level of your home, an interior room. So a closet, a bathroom that doesn't have any windows, a hallway, an interior stairwell. If you are in an apartment building, if you have an interior stairwell, not one that's outside, but an interior stairwell, that is the best place to be. If you are in an apartment building, if you are in an office complex, an office building, again, interior stairwell. If not, you want to find an interior room away from any windows. So a closet, a bathroom, something inside that doesn't have exterior walls or exterior windows. Possible tornado heading in your direction. Again, in Henry County. This is a cell we've been watching with weak rotation. One thing we have noticed with these storms is they quickly rotate and then they dissipate. They quickly rotate, then they dissipate. So I am optimistic that this is going to weaken. But again, you need to be in your safe spot until this tornado warning is over. This is just south of Conyers, moving through Henry County. This is now well east of Stockbridge. So if you are in Stockbridge, the tornado warning is over for you. If you are east of Stockbridge, it is very much a very active situation for you, as we do have that tornado warning for Henry, Rockdale, and Newton counties until 1:45 in the afternoon. So again, Henry, Rockdale, Newton counties until 1:45 for possible rotation. starting to get what we call a little dirty. It's not as well defined. Remember when I showed you those greens and the reds very close together? We're still seeing it, but again, it's not as clear as it was. Let's put the debris detector on JD and see if we're getting any signs of debris. Again, we use this tool to pick up anything flying in the sky. That's usually a really good indicator to us that we do have an active tornado on the ground. I'm not seeing anything indicative. What will happen with the debris detector when you turn that on, and if you have a tornado on the ground producing significant damage, you see the colors light up. They're blue, they're purple. So that is a very good sign that we're not seeing a big ball of debris in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Either way, the storm producing 60-mile-an-hour winds, again, possible rotation. And as quickly as they spin up, they do weaken. So this is a very fast-moving system, produces tornadoes quickly, but they also weaken very quickly as this is moving east towards the Conyers area. Looks like it's going to be just south of the Conyers area, but certainly something we'll be watching. And I know, JD, you're looking for any additional messages of possible damage or anything along those lines when it comes from this tornado warning.
Right, and thankfully we're not seeing anything from this particular warning in itself, but I do want to kind of point out, as Jen was mentioning earlier, if we can take Max for that, if you are going to be in one of these warnings today, this is where you need to go, any one of the green rooms. So basically you're going to be looking at the interior space of your home. You want to avoid rooms that have an exterior wall or window. So in this case, the closet or the hallway would be the best place for you to go. The bathroom, a secondary best place, because even though it does have that exterior wall, it doesn't have a window. But obviously you do want to get as far inside the house as you can. And as always, want to emphasize, if you have a basement, that's where you need to be right now for those folks who are going to be in this tornado warning. And we can go back to the radar and I can show you exactly who needs to be heading to the basement right now. It's going to be folks in Conyers, over into the Covington area, in Oxford, Porterdale. So this is moving right as we go in towards Rockdale and Newton County. So Henry County, the actual what remains left of this rotation is right here in this particular area. So forgive my lopsided circle there. So basically this is about to move out of Henry County and move in towards where Henry, Rockdale, and Newton all come together. And again, as we mentioned earlier, I got to zoom out just a bit so we can get some good timing on this. But this is moving very rapidly off towards the northeast at about 60 miles an hour. This thing is hauling. So what that means is for folks over into Porterdale, pretty much you got 10 minutes left. Oxford, you have 12 minutes at 1:34. Covington, I'm going to actually move this a little bit because we just got an updated scan and that'll help to get us more accurate timing. So notice though, still not quite as impressive as we were earlier. So now we're looking at Covington 132, Good Hope 150, Arnoldsville 214, Crawford 216, Lexington, if it holds together, we're going to be looking at 217. So like we saw earlier when we had the tornado warning in Fayette County and down into Coweta County, we were timing this out for well outside the warning, and we were saying even if this particular warning doesn't hold together, this line of severe thunderstorms is going to hold together. So for these folks in Crawford at 216, Maxie's at 212, Good Hope at 150, even though you're not under the warning right now, it is entirely possible that as we go into the next hour or so that you will. And as we saw with this particular system, another tornado can spin up very quickly. And that's not the only thing that we're going to be watching. Also, damaging straight line winds, as we've been kind of talking about this whole time. Whenever you see that green to red, like here, very tight with just that thin yellow line, that means that's where the strongest winds are. And then we also have a lot of cloud to ground lightning. So, just a lot of different things. In fact, as we zoom into Rockdale County here, you can see that we do have a lot of lightning heading into the Conyers area. We do have that live look there in Rockdale County. You can see a lot of rain and some breezy conditions rolling on through. So we know it's the lunchtime hour. If you haven't left yet, wait for these storms to move on through. You don't want to be caught out in these. It just really is a nasty situation for folks with these storms that are rolling through. The good news is, though, as we take a look back out towards the west, even though we're still having showers in the heart of Atlanta, back towards Kennesaw, Douglasville, Noonan, the severe threat really has pushed off towards the east for that particular area. Now, I do want to zoom back down in here for Rockdale County. This is southern Rockdale County. Now, where do we have the rotation at the moment? We got a new scan in. So I want to kind of circle that because it's going to be right here in this area. And if we put the radar back on, it makes sense because, again, we kind of mentioned this about 5 minutes ago, where we see this line of storms, and you can follow my dot here, as it curves up and then curves back into the storm like that, That's typically where we have that rotation, and that's exactly what it looks like. So for folks, Covington, Oxford, Porterdale, I can't stress this enough. We just showed you where to go in your home. It's going to be the interior, most interior spot that you can get, or that basement. Oxford, Covington, Porterdale in Newton County, you need to be heading to your safe space right now.
Really good news from the National Weather Service, JD. We're talking with them. It does look like they're now going to cancel that tornado warning. They have seen signs of weakening. We're still seeing some very weak rotation. Most likely that's in the upper levels of the atmosphere. But again, we've seen this time and time again. We will cancel these, the National Weather Service will, when we're no longer seeing that rotation. But just as easily as they go away, they can come back. So it doesn't mean you're in the clear forever. It means for right now, they will cancel that tornado warning. But it is something we'll watch very closely. Another promising thing to note, they just added a very large severe thunderstorm warning. So as we zoom out, JD, I mean, look at this. This is pretty much all of South Metro. This includes Jasper, Putnam County, moving to Clark County, Oconee County, still including Henry County. So a huge chunk of the area, they replaced that tornado warning with a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, all of those things are very promising here as they have canceled now officially. Looks like it's no longer on the map, that tornado warning. So no tornado warnings in place, but a very, very large severe thunderstorm warning for a giant chunk of our area. Does include UGA, Athens. If you've got students at Georgia, you know how students are. We all know. Make sure you give them a text, a call, that they've got very strong storms heading in their direction. Again, no tornadoes right now, but we are seeing 60-mile-an-hour winds, large hail, very heavy rain approaching the campus. I just don't want the students out and about, stuck outdoors, getting from point A to point B. So make sure you alert those students that a very strong, in fact, severe thunderstorm heading in their direction. Right now, the strongest winds, the heaviest downpours moving through the Snellville area, Lithonia, you're getting rocked right now. A tremendous amount of lightning over your area, possibly those 60-mile-an-hour winds, almost a certainty right there. We also look at the lightning. That's a good indicator of where the strongest storms are located. The more lightning you have, the stronger the storm typically. So Lithonia, you're seeing a ton of lightning. The Cumming, Sugar Hill, Johns Creek area seeing a ton of lightning. And then eastern Spalding County, crossing over the interstate, south of Henry County. Look at all the lightning right here. This is a tremendous amount of lightning. This is just east of Miller and Orchard Hill, south of Locust Grove, approaching Butts County, or at least southern portions of Butts County. An incredible amount of lightning here. And again, under that lightning, we're seeing those pinks, which are indicative of some large hail, at least at a minimum pea-sized hail, possibly some nickel-sized hail within that thunderstorm. And that one is severe. So that one is capable of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds as it moves very, very east. Yes, JD.
I just want to say the National Weather Service is now pointing out this particular area over Conyers as maybe the next area of potential rotation. So they don't have enough data on it for a warning at this time. But looking at the layers of the atmosphere, this is where they're starting to see maybe another quick spin up right here in Rockdale County over the Conyers area. And as we take a look, there is a little bit of red mixed in there with the green and the yellow. And we do have video from Rockdale County that we're going to take a look at. You can see just how heavy that rain is. And that's one of the issues that we have with these spin-ups today is the ones that have formed, they're rain wrapped. They're very hard to see. This is not one that you're going to be able to see coming. So anytime you do get a warning for your area, go ahead and take cover immediately because you won't be able to see anything due to the heavy rain that's going to be associated with this line. And you can see the winds just whipping that water across the roadway there. I mean, that is some intense winds right there in Rockdale County with this line that's moving through. Again, National Weather Service is saying this is an area that we could potentially see a very quick spin up. The camera's buffering there a little bit. It may have succumbed to those winds. So
yeah, no, and you watch those raindrops, JD, and I mean the wind is just like blowing the rain across the street. The camera obviously couldn't take the winds either, but certainly that's also the area that we're watching for possible rotation right now in the Conyers area of Rockdale County. Again, no tornado warnings in place right now, but we are watching. That is the same storm. We were just pointing out how much lightning there is over that storm. Again, lightning, a good indicator of how strong these storms are, and it's literally over Conyers right now. So if you are in Rockdale County in the city of Conyers, it is pouring down rain. The winds are howling. This is a severe thunderstorm. 60-mile-an-hour winds moving through the Conyers area. So we also have a live video. This is in Covington in Newton County. This is another one of our GDOT cameras. And again, you can just see how heavy that rain is, strong gusty winds as well. Because this camera's a little further, it's on the interstate from one of the towers, you're not going to see those winds as much as you will on some of those street level cameras. But this is along I-20 in Conyers there, where the wind, or in Covington, I should say, I'm sorry, where the wind is howling, very, very heavy rain. And notice on the right side how slowly those cars are moving. Yeah, as they should, correct. And they've got their hazards on, which and you see the lightning. It's just a mess out there. This is why we issue the first alert weather days, so that you know this is coming. We knew this was coming. We had this as a red first alert weather day on our 7-day forecast for days and days and days, almost a week
6
out
days.
because of this storm system approaching. So we knew this was going to be an issue for the day today, which is why we issue those first alert weather days, and certainly panning out that way with multiple tornado warnings already issued. I would say at least a dozen counties have had severe thunderstorm warnings, if not more.
I mean,
and
there's a dozen in this warning.
Just in this one. Yeah, and when you see a huge warning like this, normally a warning encompasses 2, 3, 4 counties. This has got 1,
13.
2, okay, 13. There you go, counting ahead of me. I love it. 13. So more than a dozen counties right now in this severe thunderstorm warning. Shows you the magnitude and the power of this system. And it's not just impacting a small little area. This is impacting much of the metro area, which is why the airport was under that ground stop. I do want to point out that the strongest storms are now east of 285, east of Atlanta. So we'll have to check if they have lifted that ground stop or not. It's still raining in Atlanta. It's still raining in Midtown, in Buckhead, in Johns Creek, in Smyrna, in Sandy Springs, Douglasville. You're still getting rain, but that severe threat is to your east. It's along this leading line. So if you are right now in Gwinnett County, down into Rockdale County, down into Henry County, Butts County, you are in the peak of that severe weather threat right now. If you are on the west side of that, so if you are inside 285, if you're in Fayette, Clayton, if you're in Spalding, if you're in Coweta, if you're in Fulton, the strongest storms have passed over your area. So that severe weather threat has ended, and it is now east of your area where we do have those active severe thunderstorm warnings in place. Let's see if there's any rotation with that one in Rockdale we were watching earlier, JD, see if things are still rotating or if things are looking better.
Sorry about that. Had the wrong tool on there.
We're doing all this in real time here along with you.
Take the lightning off to make it a little easier for you.
And it does look like it's weakening. We're still seeing these tiny little areas that almost want to, but this is promising. And they never did issue a tornado warning with this one. But again, when you start to see rotation, what you do is you watch it. And you wait for those additional radar scans and you watch it and you see, is it weakening or is that rotation tightening up? Basically, is it rotating even more? So that's what we've been watching for. We're still seeing some signs, but it's a little messy. It's not as well defined. So that is promising. And that's probably why a tornado warning was never issued with this particular area. But again, we're still seeing those 60-mile-an-hour winds, very heavy rain, lots of lightning, tons of lightning right now over Conyers. And you saw what the roads looked like. It is a mess outside right now through Rockdale County. So stay off the roads until the threat passes. As you saw with Atlanta, the threat is passing quickly. These storms are moving very quickly as they roar to the east at about 40, 50, 60 miles an hour at times. So they are fast movers. That's the good news. Yes, they are severe. Yes, I do think we're seeing trees, power lines coming down. We're seeing some limb tree damage as well, but the threat will pass quickly. So that is the good news with these storms as they continue to move to the east from Conyers down into Covington, down into Jackson. Some very heavy rain, lots of lightning with a huge severe thunderstorm warning in place, again, for 13 counties until 2:15, and it is 1:33, so about 45 minutes. What they will do as this passes, you'll notice on the back end, this is the back end of the warning. As soon as the threat does pass your area, they'll start to remove counties from this watch box, or from this warning box, I should say. And then you'll see it slowly whittled away from west to east. But if you are east of this line, the worst is yet to come. If you are in Clark County, Coney County, if you are in Athens, if you are near the UGA campus, if you're in Watkinsville, Monroe, Madison, Monticello, Eatonton, Lake Oconee area, very heavy rain, 60-mile-an-hour winds possible, especially south of Jackson, nasty thunderstorm there, possible hail, as this is roaring to the east at 60 miles an hour. Let's get a wider view.
Well, I wanted to zoom in here real quick,
yes,
just because
do.
the National Weather Service kind of gave a little update. They're not going to change the warning on it, but they wanted to point out this specific area here in southern Butts County, northern Monroe County. This is going to be over near Flovilla. This is where they say possibly some 70-mile-an-hour winds is what they're seeing on the radar from their point of view. So just to kind of give you a heads up, you know, even though the warnings themselves are for 60-mile-an-hour winds, in some isolated spots, we can see even stronger winds than that. And that particular part is moving in towards the Monticello area. And if it holds together, we're talking over in towards Eatonton over the course of the next hour. So just, you know, little updates like that are kind of why we're staying on air right now.
Yeah, and to keep people safe, let everyone know when you need to get in your safe spot, when you can come out. And again, this is impacting thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of people really throughout the day. But right now, thousands of people with a huge warning. I do want to get a little bit of a wider view quickly, just so everyone can get their bearings, because I do want to point out again.
Go ahead and turn the lightning off so we can see.
So perfect. So this is where the strongest storms are located. Follow my hand. Do you see where you see these reds, the dark yellows, the oranges? That is where we have that severe weather threat. Again, that is why these warnings are issued right at that line and ahead of it. When you see the darker colors, the heavier rain, the stronger storms, that is where we have an active severe thunderstorm warning until 2:15 for 13 counties in our viewing area. If you are on the backside of this line, so again, if you are west of this line that extend all the way from Butts County through portions of Upson County into eastern Gwinnett County through Hall County, down into Dawson-Lumpkin County. If you are on the west side of that, it is still raining in Troup County. It is still raining in Meriwether, in Coweta, Carroll, Fulton, Cobb, Cherokee, Dawson. So you're still getting some rain here, but you're not getting that severe threat. So the severe threat is not there for your area. I will say as we head through the afternoon, this is that first initial punch of severe weather. We will be watching as the actual cold front moves through later this afternoon. Could see some strong gusty winds with the actual front as it moves in later. So we could still see some storms and some gusty winds as the actual front passes through. And JD's pointing it out right now, moving through northwestern portions of Alabama into central Tennessee. So we'll still see some gusty winds and some storms, but this is that initial blast where we have the highest severe weather threat. This is what has prompted us to be under that level 3 threat of severe weather. That is why we're under that severe thunderstorm watch across all of North Georgia. This is the most powerful part of the storm that we'll be watching as we head through the afternoon. And as we've seen, has a history of producing these quick little weak spin-ups. We've seen multiple of those. The National Weather Service will go and confirm if there was or was not a tornado. They'll do that tomorrow. They'll look at the trees. They look at the direction of the trees, the winds. Sometimes it's just very strong, what we call straight line winds, which is winds heading in one direction. And when you have that, you'll notice all the trees laying in the same direction. But it could look like tornado damage. Even straight line winds can create substantial damage. On the other hand, if you see the trees almost in a fan pattern where they're blown down in different directions, that is indicative of a possible tornado. And I know, JD, you're getting brand new information as we speak. JD, what is the latest?
Yeah, and we want to speak of that. So we have 2 crews right now in Newton County that are going to be looking for damage across that area. They're still in the heart of the storm, so they're staying safe right now. But looking at the chat, I know the storms are over for a lot of folks in western Georgia, but that means damage assessments can begin. And just now getting word from Carroll County EMA that they have over a dozen different reports of trees down across the county from that storm that rolled through earlier, and possibly some trees down in the Decatur area as well. That's still kind of out looking. So possibly trees down in Decatur, and then numerous reports of trees down in Carroll County. Obviously, we're going to continue to get more damage reports in as this line continues to move through, mainly because the line is still continuing to hold on to those severe qualities as it pushes through the eastern metro and starts to now make its way in towards Athens and over towards Eatonton as well. And, you know, just to put it into perspective, if any of you have ever driven on 441 from Eatonton all the way up to Athens, that's a long drive. That goes to show you just how long this warning is, almost 60 miles wide at its widest point, and it's going to continue to slide up very quickly to the northeast. So as we kind of put a tracker on that, you notice right there, they just kind of took a little bit of that warning out. So Henry County, portions of Rockdale County, western half of Butts County, no longer in this warning, so that's some great news there. But for those of you who are still in the warning, let's go ahead and track this out for you. You can see it is a very long line of these storms that are pushing through, and it's moving off to the northeast at about 55 miles an hour. So that does mean basically Walnut Grove, you're going to be looking at right now on top of you. Mansfield 144, New Bern looking at 146, Monticello 147, Monroe 148, Shady Dale 153, same time for Rutledge, Good Hope at 154, North High Shoals 201, and then Madison at 201 there over in Greene County, Morgan County, I should say, as we get along I-20. So we're going to continue to watch these as we go throughout the afternoon. These storms still have the potential for some large hail, but the biggest threats we're going to be watching are for damaging straight line winds. Again, already starting to get damage reports in from the West Metro of trees down, and that's exactly what you can expect as we go into the rest of the afternoon, because these storms are going to continue to slide off. Now remember, we still have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 7 p.m. I do expect they'll start to trim some counties off the backside of that now that we've lost a lot of that energy on the backside of the system. Notice for folks in Haralson and Carroll County, pretty much the storms are done. We're looking at dry conditions as we go throughout the afternoon until we get to maybe that cold front moving through later this evening. Still though, even though Atlanta has already seen that main line move through, we're still hearing thunder and, across the Midtown area, and we can hear it through the studio here. So just kind of keep that in mind. There's still a lot of instability in the atmosphere that we're going to be looking at. And then I wanted to take us to the north again, because up for folks into Hall County, into the Gainesville area, we're going to be looking at the possibility for some large hail there, because notice we have these pink colors starting to pop up. Jennifer and I have been talking about the pink colors all afternoon long, because that's where we typically will start to see some of the stronger storms. And that's exactly what we're seeing up on 985 between Oakwood and Gainesville as we go in towards the next 5 to 10 minutes or so, and then pushing off towards Homer and Lula as we go into the next half hour or so. So, just goes to show you we're still looking at the potential for some very strong storms, even where we don't have these warnings along the main line. Now, Now, as we take a look, we're going to look live at the Midtown skyline, because obviously I kind of mentioned that we do have those showers and storms over Atlanta right now. They're not severe, which is good news, but still very heavy rain leading to the potential of flash flooding. Now, no flash floodings right now, but anywhere that you typically would flood very easily, we all know around Atlanta there's just certain areas that flood very easily. I would go ahead and just prepare for that due to the heavy rain that's going to continue for the next hour or so. But otherwise, it is a very messy day, even behind these storms, as they continue to slide over to the east. Now, Jennifer, you've got an update on that severe thunderstorm watch, right?
As you were just talking about, and as we've been saying, that threat is on that leading edge, that dark red, that orange area of the line. That is where we have those 60-mile-an-hour winds. That is where we have the hail. Once you are past that line, your severe weather threat is over. So really encouraging news here. This is the severe thunderstorm watch that at one point was for pretty much the entire viewing area. Notice all of the counties removed from that severe thunderstorm watch. So if you are now in gray, if you are not in yellow, that severe thunderstorm watch has been removed for your area. So Cherokee County, Dawson County, Forsyth County, Fulton County, DeKalb County, you are no longer under a watch. As we take you through Fayette County, Clayton County, Coweta County, Troup, Meriwether County, Spalding County, Henry County, Pike County, no longer under that severe thunderstorm watch. If you are still in yellow, you are still under a watch, which means severe thunderstorms, including possible tornadoes, are possible through the afternoon. As long as this continues moving east, and it is very quickly, we'll continue to see these counties removed from west to east out of that watch. But again, really great news for Atlanta and points west. You are no longer under severe thunderstorm watch. If you are in yellow, if you are in far east Georgia, that severe thunderstorm will remain for your area. Let me take you over the next couple of hours, because I know you're wondering, when is this going to end? So at 3 o'clock, majority of this, and I do want to point out this model I think is a little slow. These storms are moving faster. These models are not always 100% accurate. In fact, it's showing 3 p.m., which is very similar to what it looks like right now. So keep in mind, this is probably an hour delayed. So I think this is really what it looks like right now. And then as we take you towards 4 o'clock, I think this is more reminiscent of what it will look like at 3 o'clock. So storms continue to push east at 3 o'clock, mainly east of the metro with some lingering rain behind it. And then we'll be watching, this is the actual front that will move through this afternoon around 5 p.m. I do think we'll see some strong gusty winds along this front that will move through through the late afternoon into the evening. And notice how it fizzles as it pushes through. By 11 p.m., we will be done. And even though this is a front, we do have a big time warm up in the forecast. When I tell you that it is going to be almost 90 degrees in a couple of days, that is no exaggeration. So make sure you stay with us because we're gonna have that full forecast coming up at 3 o'clock on Atlanta News First. But I did want to show you that hour by hour forecast. Let me take you back to the radar here. We'll continue. I just wanted to show you that update on the watch because as important it is to let you know when severe weather obviously is a big problem, it's just as important to let you know when that severe weather threat is ending or going to end for your area. So I did want to point that out. Where the weather threat is not ending, at least not yet, that is where we have an active thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm warning. This is until 2:15. And again, this is for far eastern portions of our area. So this moves through Monroe into Covington, moving into Jasper, Putnam County near the Lake Oconee area. This will eventually be approaching your area, Clark Oconee County. You're still in that watch or that warning, I should say. Notice Henry County, Spalding County, portions of Butts County that were in that warning have been removed. So again, as soon as that threat ends for your area, those counties will be removed. But for now, we still have multiple counties on their severe thunderstorm warning. It's really from Monroe to Covington down where we have that potential of 60-mile-an-hour winds, very heavy rain, frequent lightning. We've seen some small hail as well. And we have briefly seen a couple spin-ups here and there throughout the afternoon. So I don't expect that to change. Again, this will eventually move out of our area and the coast will be clear. But until then, if you are east of Metro Atlanta, be aware, very strong winds of 60 miles an hour will be possible with the severe thunderstorm warning in place until 2:15 as this moves east. Currently, we do not have any tornado warnings, but we have seen quick little spin-ups over and over, time and time again within this line that we've been watching. Right now, though, things mostly wind damage is what I expect. We are starting to get multiple damage reports from the National Weather Service across multiple counties. In fact, we've got at least a dozen reports of trees down, if not more. We already have thousands of power outages, and we do have multiple reports of trees on homes, unfortunately. With these trees come down, there's just no way to control exactly which direction they go. The winds are going to push them down, and we are getting multiple reports of damage from trees on homes as well. In fact, I'm going to pull these up here all in real time because we're all doing this together in real time and read you. These are according to the Carroll County, emergency manager, but we're getting reports on Cypress Circle, trees on multiple residences, Memory Springs Drive, trees on multiple mobile homes, got a tree down on Highway 5 and Ravensville Road, Highway 5 at Old Columbus Road, so Highway 5 really hit hard, Highway 5 at Daniel Road, Highway 5 at Ephesus Church Road, a tree down on Little New York Road, Old Driver Road. That's just some, and it goes on and on and on. Whitesburg reporting some trees down. We're getting reports of trees down in the Decatur area in DeKalb County. In Rockdale County near East Lake Drive, we've got trees blocking both lanes of traffic. And just seeing more and more, it looks like GDOT reporting trees down on 279. And it goes on, blocking Road Chestnut Road in Sonoya and in Rockdale County. We're also getting reports of lots of power outages as well. So here's a look at the power outage index. First Alert Radar, an incredibly powerful tool. Not only can we detect tornadoes and winds and heavy rain, but it also gives us an idea of power outages. And the fact that a majority of our power outages are in Coweta County tells me that's where most of the damage occurred. So 5,000 people right now without power in Coweta County. In Henry County, 1,000 customers without power. Fulton County, 2,000 customers without power. 1,500 in DeKalb County. Carroll County, 1,000 customers without power. And again, notice that's west of where we have that active severe thunderstorm warning. So this is behind that line of the strongest winds. We don't have any power outages yet where we have a severe thunderstorm warning. But again, as these storms cross over that area, that's when we'll start to see those power outages go up in those spots that pick up those 60-mile-an-hour winds. But again, I think Coweta County, the hardest hit area from this storm system, that's also where we did have a possible tornado earlier. So we will be watching very closely. We will send crews down on the ground to get live images for you. And we're going to have that throughout the afternoon. Of course, multiple trees down as well. JD, what else are we seeing here?
Yeah, so you mentioned that, we're not seeing a lot of power outages right now with this particular line that's moving through. Well, the reason is it takes a little bit of time to get in our system because we are now hearing of power outages in Walton County over near the Monroe area. And so even though it hasn't filled in quite on the map yet, we are going to continue to watch those power outages slowly slide to the east. And thankfully, even though we are seeing power outages, this is not like a widespread power outage event. So that is some good news for the folks who are involved. Hopefully that means electrical crews can get those lines and that power restored quickly. Now, as we take a look at the reflectivity, basically radar, we're going to be seeing that the line of showers and storms continues to push through the Monroe area over into Walton County, about to make its way down to Madison and Morgan County, and then back down towards Monticello for Jasper County. So all of this is pushing very quickly off towards the east. Let's put the lightning back on because really that kind of gives us an idea of which parts of the line are going to be the most intense. And so for us, that's going to be right here into Jasper County, north of the Monticello area. It's going to continue on up in towards Newton County, and then also for Walton and Morgan counties as well. So all of this is going to be pushing off towards the east as we go off to 60 miles an hour. These storms are booking it, and we do have a live look out of Walton County right now. You can see rain basically is going to be pushing across the area. You can see traffic is slowed down a little bit on the side that's coming towards you, not so much on the side heading away from us, but we do have that rain pushing through right now with these storms and a little bit of wind coming through. As we mentioned earlier, not quite as easy to see the wind on these traffic cameras because they're a little bit farther away from the road, but very gusty conditions are expected in this area as the storms continue to slide off towards the east. So for folks into Winder right now, you're getting a lot of heavy winds and some lightning, but again, the actual severe thunderstorm warning just to your south, but it just goes to show you that northern edge really, as we've been taking a look, has also had a little bit of some feistiness to it as we've gone through the afternoon. Now, the good news is, as I zoom here into Hall County, making our way over in towards Banks County with Homer, you can see that the lightning threat has actually come down with this particular cell just a little bit. So that is some good news there. And hopefully that means this particular segment is weakening. Not so much, though, for the line down to the south. You can just see lots and lots of lightning for folks just to the east of Covington, now moving pretty much right along I-20 as we head in towards the Madison area. And that will continue to slide off towards the east as we go through the next hour or so. So let's go ahead and time this out because it is going to be heading for you folks up into Athens very shortly. We'll do the whole line here just so we can get some larger cities on here. Now, notice by the time we get into 153, you got 2 minutes, Shady Dale, before you start to see the heaviest of this move through. Good Hope at 2 o'clock. Madison, you're looking at 2:13. North High Shoals at 2:15. Eatonton, 2:23. Watkinsville, 2:29. Athens itself, you're going to be looking at 2:37. So, we've still got a good almost 40 minutes left for this line of storms before it makes it even to the edge of the warning. So that's one of the reasons that we're still on and still kind of giving you an update as to what's going on, because this has just been a massive little storm that's kind of pushed on through. Again, earlier we were looking and we didn't have a lot of damage reports coming out of the system, and it's because it just takes time. The people who do those damage assessments and those reports need to stay safe, so they can't get out in the middle of a storm to do that. So once the storm passes, now we're starting to get those reports in from Rockdale County, from Carroll County, down into Coweta County, and then over into Fayette County as well. So now we're starting to see just exactly how much damage has been done from these storms. And so far, it looks to be a lot of trees down. Unfortunately, we have heard maybe some reports of trees down on homes. And then also, as we saw earlier, just the power lines that are starting to come down as well, causing some sporadic issues, thankfully not widespread. But if you're affected, it's obviously a big inconvenience for you.
Yeah, and certainly during the lunch hour, during the peak of the day, the lunchtime, when kids are at school, you're out and about running errands and at work. Never a good time. It's never a good time to have severe weather. The last several events we had in the overnight hours, that's incredibly dangerous as well because most folks are asleep as these warnings are happening and unaware to go to their safe spot, which is why we push that First Alert Weather app over and over because that is going to be your best tool, especially as long as you have your location settings turned on. That way you will be alerted if there is a warning for your area. That's the key. You don't want to receive 20 million warnings on your phone when it doesn't impact you. The key is you need to be alerted when it impacts you, and that is exactly what the First Alert Weather app does. Very heavy rain now moving through East Metro. Again, I know it's raining in Sandy Springs and Buckhead and across the Midtown area. This is not severe. This is just some lingering rain behind that main line. It's that main line where we will be watching for very strong gusty winds. That is why we still have an active severe thunderstorm warning in place for Morgan, Jasper County, Clark County, Oconee County, through Putnam County until 2:15 for the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds and small hail. Very heavy rain. We're still seeing a ton of lightning with this system, so still very electrical, still packing a punch. A lot of times you see these lines move in from Alabama, and they start off super strong in far west Georgia, and they just fizzle as they cross over our state. Although this may be not as strong as it once was, and we're not seeing the rotation within this line as we once did, we're still seeing a tremendous amount of lightning. We're still seeing the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds. We're still seeing very heavy rain as well as this continues to push to the east. If you are in Jasper County right now, you are just seeing a tremendous amount of lightning, especially northern Jasper County, then extending, moving east of Covington into Madison, right along I-20. So obviously a lot of cars on I-20 right now. This is going to be a nightmare. This is the kind of blinding rain. You have your windshield wipers as high as they go, and you're still trying to get them to go higher because you can't see. It's impossible to see. So do not be out on the roads. Do not run any errands right now until the storms pass. If you are on the back end of this line, if you are in Covington, Lithonia, Stone Mountain, nobody likes driving in the rain, but at least you will be safe as long as you drive carefully, allow plenty of space between you and the vehicle in front of you. Visibility, although reduced, not as bad as it's going to be along that main line. Along this main line is where we have that threat of severe weather. That's where we have 60-mile-an-hour winds. This is going to be the line that will produce trees coming down and power lines coming down. So this is where you don't want to be anywhere outside because of possible damage to trees. We've already had over a dozen reports of trees down, blocking roadways, on homes, bringing power lines down. So unfortunately, until this passes, that will continue to be a threat, and it's just better to stay home, stay inside, stay in the office until the threat passes. Right now, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning. It does encompass Clark, Oconee County. This is now over Monroe, but this is heading east. So this is going to approach the University of Georgia here in the next 20 minutes or so. And then as we extend further south, Madison, that storm really approaching your area quickly. Already things starting to go downhill. That will only continue to get worse. And then eventually moving into Greene County as it approaches portions of Lake Oconee, into Putnam County as well. Be aware in about 15 minutes, we do have a nasty storm system that is approaching your area. I'm getting reports here. This is from Jasper County. They have reports that they have units responding to power lines down on a vehicle, and they are starting to get reports of multiple trees coming down. So they are seeing those straight line winds of 60 miles an hour. Again, this is in Jasper County. So these are the counties that we're going to start to see all these storm reports coming in of trees and power lines coming down as this line moves through. You get the damage first, you get the trees, the power lines down, and then right after the storms pass, you start seeing exactly where those trees have come down because people call the police, they call 911, the emergency manager is informed. Then once they get that information, they post it on a board where meteorologists are able to see it. And that's where JD and I are constantly in communication with emergency managers across North Georgia, across with the fire departments, the police departments, and the National Weather Service. We're all constantly communicating so we can get information to you as safely as possible, let you know when it's dangerous to leave your home, and of course when it's safe to do so. Right now, if you are east of Metro Atlanta, stay inside. Severe thunderstorm warning continues. Multiple reports of trees down and power outages. And I'm sure if we look at the power outage index now, certainly those numbers will continue to go up exponentially as we continue through the afternoon. No active tornado warnings right now, but multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. Now let's go back to that power outage map if we can, JD, because I have a feeling those numbers, now that this line is moving, so we're going to start to see it. So now starting to see it shift a little further east. So let's see if these numbers are going up. Noonan is still the one with the most power outages. That's also the one where we did have that possible spin up, quick spin up. So we'll have to see if there was a tornado or not in Coweta County. But 5,000 customers without power. Again, these numbers are not tremendous. We've seen a lot more than this. So this is promising to me. This tells me we certainly had trees and power lines coming down. Certainly we're getting multiple reports of that. But at least we're keeping those numbers not incredibly high. Oh, and we have images coming in right now in Carroll County. Let's take that of trees down in Carroll County. And again, on some structure of some sort. I'm not sure if that's a home or a shed or a garage, but we are getting reports now of trees down. This is in Carroll County. This is a home. So my producer telling me in my ear, and there you can see it, a tree on a home in Carroll County. And here's the problem when you get this kind of damage. I know you look at it and yes, the tree's on the home causes damage, but what happens is that tree basically punches a hole in your roof. So all the water, because obviously when these storms were rolling through, tremendous downpours. So all of that rain that was falling when the tree came down, all of that rain is now inside the home, in the structure of the home. So not only are you dealing with structural damage of a tree down, but you're dealing with flood damage as well, with water damage, I should say. And if you've ever had water damage inside your structure, you know it is no joke. You have to mitigate that risk immediately because then it leads to mold and other issues down the road. So certainly this is not the way this homeowner wanted to start their day, but there it is. That is just some images coming in. And as we continue through the afternoon, we're going to see more and more images just like this of trees on homes as these strong lines continue to push through eastern portions of our viewing area, moving through Walton County into Morgan County. Putnam County, you're going to see very strong gusty winds entering your area soon. Clark and Oconee County through Greene and Oglethorpe. Eventually, you're going to see this very heavy rain heading in your direction as well. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning in place as these line of winds, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts reported, continue to move east, closer into the Greensboro area, Greene County, Oglethorpe County, Putnam County, moving into Clark and Oconee County. These are the areas that are going to see those 60-mile-an-hour winds here in the next 20 minutes or so. In fact, JD, let's put a large track on this here so we can give people a better idea of exactly when those strongest winds are going to move into their area. So we put it on the leading edge, again, along the leading edge. That is where the strongest winds, possibly severe winds, are located. And this is moving very fast to the east. So that was the one piece of good news from this system. It was a very quick mover in and out. So that is how we like to see these, especially when they're such big rain producers. But this is heading towards the Watkinsville area at 206, Buckhead at 208, Eatonton at 208, Athens, the University of Georgia campus in and around that area at 211, Winterville at 217, Arnoldsville at 219, Maxey's at 219, Greensboro at 220, Lake Oconee, so near the Reynolds area, 221, and then towards Crawford at 222. So again, this is a fast-moving line, very heavy, possibly severe winds of 60-mile-an-hour winds, very heavy rain, lots of lightning as well. And honestly, although maybe a little weaker than it was that was moving over the metro, still producing a tremendous amount of lightning. These are very electrical in nature. Certainly still seeing that tight gradient as well. This is what we've been pointing out when you have that green and that bright red or pink even super close together. That is a very good indicator for us that we have very strong winds. This is where we have those 60-mile-an-hour winds. So after this line passes, we're going to bring you these images on Atlanta News First and Peachtree TV of all the damage from this line. Almost all of the damage will be from what we call straight line winds. That is winds pushing in one direction. And with these 60-mile-an-hour gusts, multiple reports of trees that have come down and power outages. So I think we're going to see a lot of images throughout the afternoon. So as this progresses and those storm reports come in, we will make sure to get you those live pictures and live images throughout the entire afternoon. We're also going to let you know as soon as that severe weather threat comes to an end. Right now, moving east of Monroe through Clark, Oconee County into Madison along I-20, approaching Greene County, moving through Oglethorpe County, eventually, or at least heading in that direction through Putnam County as well. So this is moving out of Jasper into Putnam. That is where we have possibly some small hail, very strong winds, very heavy rain, and as you can see, a tremendous amount of lightning. Let's zoom out a little bit, JD. I want to show the rest of the metro because, again, although still raining and we had this lonely little lightning strike in the Smyrna area of Cobb County, another one in Cherokee County, we're still seeing some lightning strikes here, but that severe weather threat is over. If you are behind that main line, you're still getting a little bit of lightning, you're still seeing some heavy downpours. But again, it's going to be from Raven County all the way to Jasper Putnam County. That is where we have that threat of strong gusty winds, that lightning, and the very heavy rain. Lots of reports of damage out there, JD. I mean, how many dozens and dozens reports across many counties already?
Yeah, we are continuing to watch that threat as we go through the afternoon, mainly, a little bit delayed because obviously we want these folks to keep their safety in mind when they're looking at these systems. But we're already hearing of numerous trees down over into the Carroll County area, trees down in Sonoya for folks over into the Noonan area, hearing about power lines down on vehicles now in Jasper County. And, you know, we actually got quite a few reports. I'm going to slide over so I can bring my notes back up. But as we went through the afternoon, lots of reports of those trees and power lines down in the Jasper County area. And if you remember earlier, we were kind of telling you over into Butts County and into this area of Jasper County, we had the possibility of 70-mile-an-hour winds. It was just kind of one of those little isolated spots where the winds picked up a little bit stronger than what we were seeing along the line as a whole. And that's very typical for when you have a line of storms just this long. It's not going to be uniform up and down the entire thing. But as we went through the day and we finally started to get a little bit of clearing behind this, now we're hearing about those reports of trees down, power lines down, and even a little bit of flooded roadways in certain locations. So again, you know, it's just goes to show you that for folks in Edenton who have this storm heading in your direction right now, in fact, it's barreling down on you, about to cross over 441 across that area in Putnam County. This is what you can expect. Possibility of some trees down, power lines possibly coming down as well, and then isolated areas flooding where we get that torrential rain coming in. And it looks like at the northern edge of the county where we have these little pink speckles, maybe a little bit of light hail with this. I think given the way that we've seen the dynamics of this play out, I think this is just some very intense rainfall that's going to be sliding in just to the north of Putnam County High School. And then also as we get in towards areas of Morgan County on the northern side of this, leading up 441 into Madison. In fact, Madison right now seeing some very heavy rain and some intense lightning with this cell as it continues to push out towards the east. And it'll continue to do that. And we're slowly but surely getting towards the eastern edge of our warning here. Remember, this is a massive warning. This particular warning was almost 80 miles long when it was issued. So they've been trimming off the back edge of that. And where you see, you know, Covington, Monticello, Monroe, all of you have been trimmed off the backside of this warning. And we expect that trend to possibly continue as we head in towards the next 30 to 45 minutes or so, with this line continuing to slide off towards the east. But for Watkinsville, this storm is on top of you right now. For Athens, you kind of are a little nook of this storm. It's, you know, it's down here to the south, it's over to the west, and it's off to the north. So you kind of carved out a little hole, but that is going to be making its way into your area as we get into the next 30 or so minutes. In fact, let's just kind of zoom out and check into that one little spot here. So this is just for the Athens area. It's going to be looking at about 55 miles an hour. So we do expect that to be right around 2:14 p.m. as we get into basically the next 9 minutes or so. We do expect it to start getting into Athens and into the UGA area as well. And we do have a live crew out there right now. Tell me again where that location is. It's going to be in Coweta County. This is where we did have damage reports earlier in the day. So Chelsea, tell me, what are you seeing out there right now?
Yeah, we are on Potts Road in Noonan. We have rolled up on a scene where there's a tree snapped in half that fell across power lines, which you can see back here in this direction. The tree is kind of back there in the distance. There are power crews here that are trying to restore power and get these lines back up and running. So that tree is behind that white truck down there. I don't know how well you can see it, but it did snap totally in half, came down. Thankfully, it's not blocking the road, so Potts Road is open to traffic. They have it down to one lane as these crews are out here trying to get things cleaned up. I know our meteorologists were just talking about several thousand people in Coweta being without power right now. The Coweta County Sheriff's Office just shared on social media that they're working several similar scenes with trees down and power lines down. We are trying to get some more information from the Sheriff's Office to see what other areas are affected. Again, this is Potts Road in Noonan. Tree came down onto some power lines. You can see there are several power crews here working to get things back up and running. Guys, back to you.
All right. Thank you there, Chelsea. Obviously, we're seeing this not just in Coweta County, but we're hearing reports of it from across the metro area. So this is not an isolated location or a response with trees down. Obviously, in that area, power lines being affected as well, but also over into Carroll County, and then pretty much at least sporadic power outages across the metro area. So again, we want to kind of show you this. You know, Noonan and Coweta County, You know, Coweta County earlier, we had 5,000 customers without power. Now that's down to about 4,500. So that is some good news. They are starting to make some headway, as we're seeing there, in getting those customers restored and helping to get the lights back on for a lot of folks. And hopefully that's the trend that we're going to continue to see as we head through the afternoon and into the evening hours. Obviously, we don't like to see folks without power. Thankfully, it's not quite as warm today as it will be later in the week, when we're going to see those temperatures climbing up near 90 degrees. But either way you look at it, being without power, obviously a big inconvenience and a huge nuisance for those who are affected. But glad to see that crew's already out there, and glad to see that those numbers are already slowly coming on down. Where they're probably not coming down and where they're probably rising up just a little bit is going to be with this one active severe thunderstorm warning that we have, stretching from Athens all the way down to Eatonton. So basically Oconee County all the way down towards, I should say Ocoee County, all the way down towards Lake Oconee and down into the Putnam County area. So we're still seeing a lot of lightning with this particular system. The good news is on the southern edge of this, obviously we've been talking about it. We've had a lot of damage reports coming in from Jasper County. The good news is, even though there's some very heavy rain and some gusty winds and some strong winds on the leading edge of this, we're seeing the lightning count come down on this particular southern edge of the line. So that's giving us an indication that the storm is slowly starting to weaken. It may be raining itself out. Obviously, we're going to be looking at possibly some cooler air getting into the storm, helping that. But as you get up towards Madison and Watkinsville, and even over towards the southern area of the loop around Athens, that's not what we're seeing. We're still seeing some very intense lightning in these areas and some very heavy rain and some very strong winds, which is why we still have the warning in effect for these counties. But the good news is, as we head into the afternoon, really the next hour or so, we expect this to move out of these areas, and unfortunately will start to affect new areas, because we do have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning now that has been issued on the southern edge of this. So basically from Madison, where we were looking with that strongest line and that bowing, when we talk about bowing, this is exactly what we're talking about. So you're going to see from here in Madison, you just see it come out like a bow, almost like, you know, you'd see with a bow and arrow. And that's where we have that leading edge of that severe wind. And as we take a look, it's going to be moving, again, very rapidly off towards the northeast. I'll go ahead and time it out for you, and that way we can get a better idea of exactly where it is going. So again, these things are moving very quickly. I'm going to time this one out at about 50 miles an hour. So it's moving towards, when it says Buckhead, I want to keep in mind, this is Buckhead in Newton County. This is not Buckhead in Atlanta. Lots of spots around the metro actually have that name. So Lake Oconee, 220, Greensboro, 224, White Plains, 231, Union Point, 232, Sparta, looking at 236. Meanwhile, we're looking at Crawfordville at 241, Norwood at 253, and Warrenton at 256. So again, these are very quick moving systems, still strong enough for this line of storms to continue with the warning. The good news is, though, for folks in Madison and Eatonton, the worst is behind you. We do expect some gradual weakening of the rain in your area as we go throughout the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. But unfortunately, for others who are ahead of this storm, it looks like we're going to watch these conditions deteriorate rapidly. Again, Lake Oconee was looking at around 220, 222. That's only 10 minutes from now. So that gives you time to go ahead and get yourself indoors and to get to your safe spot. Because again, we are looking at the potential for 60, maybe 70-mile-an-hour winds with this, but also the very heavy winds, and then also a lot of lightning as well. So obviously for those of you who have the day off or are retired on the lake, not a great lake day, you definitely want to be indoors, helping to keep yourself safe from these storms as they continue to push off towards the east.
We have new warnings that I want to let you know about. First of all, that one for the area we've been watching has been extended until 3 o'clock for Jasper and Putnam counties, but also in far northeast Georgia, Rabun County now included in a warning as well. This one until 3:15. So this starts off in Rabun County. Oh, it's a small little clunker here, little chip of Rabun County, but you can see extending down into portions out of our viewing area into the upstate of South Carolina. But again, it's all along that line. We have been watching. This one is until 3:15. So we can widen out a little bit, JD, get a little further south. I just wanted to show that noon warning.
Everything's happening.
Everything's happening all at once, all in real time. The beauty of live television here. And again, you can see that line very clearly. You follow that lightning, that is where the severe weather threat is. So it does start in Rabun County and then extends through Clark, Oconee County, down to Jasper, Putnam. And we also have live images for you of what this line is capable of. This is in Noonan, where we had a tree down on power lines. And you see folks are there to assess the situation. Of course, with power lines, you have to be extremely careful. Make sure those are not live power lines. So they are checking out the scene to assess kind of the best way to handle this. especially when it goes over a roadway. So we're going to see images just like this across much of the metro area. What happens is these strong winds of 60 miles an hour, they topple over these trees, and then those trees topple on top of the power lines and bring the power lines down with the trees. And when you get that happening a lot, especially with a widespread severe weather event like we've seen this afternoon, that means more people without power, and that also means it's going to take a little longer to get your power restored, just because you have so many instances where you need power crews out there, and they need to wait until the severe weather threat is over before they can safely go assess and fix the situation. So if you did lose power today, you may be watching us on our First Alert Weather app live on TV right now. We will be with you as this threat continues, but just be aware you will eventually get some power back. We do have that warning that was extended again through portions of Jasper, Putnam County, Greene, Oglethorpe County. This is until 3 o'clock. It's that part of the line you see right here. It's bowing a little bit over the Lake Oconee area. This is where we're seeing the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds, very heavy rain, lots of lightning. We keep watching for signs of rotation. We're not seeing any signs of rotation, so that's really good news, especially in the kind of environment we're in right now where tornadoes are possible. We knew it was a relatively low threat, but a threat nonetheless. So that's what we've been watching for very closely. We're not seeing any rotation within this line, but we are seeing the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds, very heavy rain, lots of lightning as well. And this is now moving over far eastern portions of our viewing area. So moving out of Jasper into Putnam County, moving east into Greene County, Oglethorpe County, through Clark, Oconee County. You're seeing some very heavy rain, lots of lightning, and some strong gusty winds as well. City of Greensboro, they have an amazing Ace Hardware there that sells really cute items, but very heavy rain heading in that direction. Lots and lots of gusty winds as well, possibly 60-mile-an-hour winds heading in your direction. We're also seeing possibly some small hail, although not really seeing much of that, but winds is my bigger concern. And that is why we're seeing so many reports of trees down, power lines coming down as these winds continue to roar through the area. I will say if you are west of this main leading line of heavy rain and storms, the severe weather threat is over for you. So as we widen our view, notice much of the area is now in the clear of severe weather. But if you are in far eastern portions of our viewing area, that is where we are under severe thunderstorm warnings right now. We do have brand new images coming in. This is in Carroll County. So Carroll County reports of trees down on a home. This is on a structure on a home there. So certainly not what you want to see, but this is just one of many that we have seen. In fact, just counting the various storm reports across metro Atlanta, I want to say at least a dozen. Some counties have seen a dozen reports of trees down, maybe not necessarily all on structures, but certainly on area roadways. This is in Carroll County, but as we disperse our crews across all of North Georgia, now that it is safe to do so, we are going to see more and more images just like that throughout the afternoon as this storm continues to roar east. Again, still raining, still seeing a couple lightning strikes from time to time. West of that main line, raining right now in Hall County, the Dawsonville area, Sugar Hill, Johns Creek, down to Conyers. Rockdale County, you got hit pretty hard. Some nasty winds moved through Rockdale. We have numerous reports of trees down in that area. Henry County, really it's those areas south of Atlanta that really got the hardest hit. That's where we had the possible rotation. That's where we had some of the strongest thunderstorms. So I would say south of I-20 is where most of the damage happened, but Rockdale County, Gwinnett County, Henry County, Butts County, saw some pretty strong winds, 60-plus-mile-an-hour gusts as those storms rolled through the area. And although still raining for you, that severe weather threat is over. It's far eastern portions of our viewing area that still have that threat of severe weather. And because this line is moving at about 50 miles an hour, it is moving very, very quickly. We're going to go back to J.D. Disharoon, First Alert Meteorologist. You have some brand new information.
Yeah, we're going to continue to watch as we go through the afternoon of damage reports coming in. So now starting to hear about some trees down in Jasper County, also over into Newton and into Walton counties as well. We do have crews out into the East Metro that will continue to give us updates as we head throughout the afternoon. The good news, though, is it does look like for the majority of the viewing area, obviously the exception being the far eastern part where we do have that active severe thunderstorm warning, that we are starting to quiet things down and we are starting to see those power outage numbers recover just a little bit. So again, we had up to 5,000 people in Noonan. That was triggering that green color earlier. Now looking at 4,500. Carroll County looking at about 1,000. For folks in Fulton, 2,000. 1,500 in DeKalb, 1,500 in Henry counties as well. So slowly, these power outage numbers are coming down. So we're seeing fewer and fewer customers without power. But as we go throughout the afternoon, that could start to increase as we get a little bit farther to the east. But we are starting to see some great news in terms of actual folks being able to get out, start the damage assessment and recovery process, and hopefully start to get things back to normal as we head towards the evening. Jen?
Yeah, JD, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for staying with us throughout the afternoon. First alert weather day continues for now. Still seeing some very strong storms in Clark, Oconee County down into Putnam County. But again, that line, that is where the threat of severe weather lies, and it is moving quickly to the east. Although still raining behind it, that severe weather threat quickly ending. Still some gusty winds possible through the afternoon and tonight as a cold front pushes through. We're going to have much more on that and the impacts on our First Alert weather app. We're also constantly sending alerts and updates, so make sure you keep it there for the latest. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back here at 3 o'clock for much more on the storm.